Good evening, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. This is our remote viewing show, and I have a wonderful show lined up for you guys tonight. I have my very good friend, Mr. Arkheim Ra, here in the studio with me tonight, and he has given me two separate coordinate remote viewing targets. And I just found out what they were. Was that last night, I guess? And they are fantastic targets. They do have to do with the Secret Space Program project, Montauk Project, and the Phoenix Project, and music as well. I think this is going to be a really cool thing for us to dive into tonight. And I have a lot of pictures and things like that to show you guys. And Arkheim and I were just chatting it up a little before the show. And we made some really interesting connections. And I think it's going to really blow you guys away tonight. So if you guys would like to follow along with all of my data for this show tonight, I do have a Patreon. If you guys would like to become a member over there and check out my Patreon. And thank you to all my members. You guys are the best. But just look up the Cryptid Huntress over on Patreon. You can find all the data, all the pictures I'm going to show tonight, any kind of pertinent information that I'm going to be talking about this evening. It is over there on my Patreon. It's basically my whole presentation over there. So plus the actual raw data for these two targets. Okay. And also I do have a shop. It's called War Woman Goods. If anyone is interested in checking that out over on Etsy. And of course, you guys can find me over at thecryptidhuntress.com. And I'm on podcast platforms, y'all. So if anyone wants to listen to me in the car, in the boat, on your spacecraft, however you get yourself from place to place, you guys listen to me on all the podcasting platforms, just about all of them. It's just look up the Cryptid Huntress and be sure to give me a good rating over there. That's always fun if you enjoy listening to my podcast. So, all right, that's that. Also, I do have a calendar of events. I've noticed on my website today, I only have one event listed. So I'm going to be updating that soon. Okay. So let's get to our show tonight. Okay. We have a lot to discuss, and I want to get Arkheim up here as quickly as possible. Okay. Montauk Time Soldier, Arkheim Ra, tasked me with these two targets based on his memories in the Secret Space Program, including music that was made through the Montauk Project, and the connections to AI. And there's AI in the music industry, actually. So we're going to get into that. Arkheim Ra is a starseed who was targeted for super soldier espionage mind control programs in U.S. public schools in their Talented and Gifted program. He served at Montauk under Project Phoenix and has several alters which engaged with time travel and alternate reality programs, in which he believes may have been a swap alternate reality. Arkheim's alters have also worked with Notwaffen, Mars Defense Force, Solar Warden, Lunar Command, and more. He has a book out. It's called Time and Space Unlimited, The Implications of Portal Technologies Explained. It's available on Amazon, and we do have links to that down in the description box. And you can find him over on his YouTube channel. That is Disclosure Now, with the exclamation point at the end. So please help me welcome to the show, Mr. Arkheim Ra. Hey, Arkheim.
Hi. Thanks for having me as usual. Looking forward to working with you in this capacity once again.
Well, of course. Thank you for being here, Arkheim. And thank you for giving me these amazing remote viewing targets. It's always interesting. I never know what you're going to give me, of course. And I think this is a special target. These two targets are pretty special, and they're very
to get more bizarre almost.
No, they don't get much more bizarre than Robot Grandma, Arkheim. Okay.
You got a good point.
So that's still to this day one of mine and the audience's favorite remote viewing targets.
Shout out to my fiance Catherine for picking that target out, because it really was her idea.
That was good. Yeah, keep them coming. Okay, I'm always open for some new targets from both.
Yeah, I know she has some ideas too. She should come on the show sometime.
Yeah. Hey, she's always welcome. She is. Oh man. Okay. Well, these two targets tonight. We have discussed the music industry in relation to the Montauk Project and to Project Phoenix that you were a part of. And, lately I've been talking about celebrities being parts of secret societies and even the secret space programs, and even some being reptilians and aliens. Okay. And things like that. So tonight, why don't you tell the audience tonight a little bit about the targets that you gave me and why you gave me these targets for tonight?
Sure. I guess a good way to start this is just to preface the way things work so people can even understand what we're talking about here. It's a time travel project. Project Phoenix is a time travel project that was the Navy and the Air Force were in control of it. It was operated out of Camp Hero. It's still in existence to this day, as far as I know. It's operated out of New Orleans, a deep underground military base underneath New Orleans. So it's still happening. But it's just been changed hands and it's not exactly the same, if that makes any sense. But I was a part of it. For me, it's as far as I know, I'm no longer active in Project Phoenix, but I was a huge part of it for a duration that for me was thousands of years, literally, because I lived many lifetimes and they transplanted me all throughout time and space, different from the time and space here on Earth to different planets as well, and basically they engineered popular culture in a lot of ways because it was a mind control thing. I mean, it's an evolution of MK Ultra. So they had this huge radar tower there at Camp Hero. It's called the Sage Radar Tower, and they experimented on doing stuff to the yeah, there it is. There's been stories of the locals will tell you stories of weird stories of like certain animals running the same direction at the same time for no reason and all sorts of weird stuff. Yeah, that's the Montauk trip chair. So basically, when Roswell happened, when the craft crashed, they recovered the chairs from the alien artifacts that they found. This is the pilot chair for the ET craft, and essentially what it does is it amplifies your thoughts. So if you think about maybe an apple or an orange, it materialize right in front of you if you know how to use the chair, if you're trained correctly and you know how to use it. Not just anybody could do it. But essentially, we use those to open portals. We would turn mirrors into portals and walk through them. And this is the most advanced way to walk that in Stargates, because there are many different models of teleportation technology, but some of them give off radiation, as Andrew Basiago can attest to. He's got all sorts of health problems from using the primitive Tesla teleporters. So that's old hat. We were more advanced with our techniques and what we were doing. But essentially, like I said, we engineered pop culture in a lot of different ways. Some of the ways are very obvious to make America look good and stuff like that. And some of the other ways are more innocuous and negative. But because it was a negative, in my opinion, I would call it a negative project. They were doing negative things. I wouldn't say it was a positive thing. And I wouldn't say what I was doing there was positive at all. And yeah, essentially, the stuff with the music gets very crazy because not only were us soldiers writing music, and we went through such powerful things that, believe it or not, this is kind of how music works. Is if you have a lot of emotion, if you're impacted by reality and you're able to express that well, right, you're gonna make good music. Well, we experienced some of the craziest things, so if you're able to put that into song, the emotion will just grab you. That's the thing that we always were trying to accomplish with every song, where within the first few moments of the song, the emotion of it has already grabbed you and you're already inside the song feeling it, right? And what a lot of people don't know is we're all psychic, okay? There's the left and right side of our brain, the subliminal, and then the conscious side of our brain. And that subliminal part of our brain is actually our latent psychic side of our brain. That's the part of our brain that's psychic and that would telepathically communicate. And what we don't realize is it's still there. It's like a latent organ that we don't realize we're using, but we're still using it. It's kind of like that. And we're still taking in messages. So they inject into songs like messages and things like that. One of the silliest ones, which also is a really good example, is "Do the Hustle" was a Montauk song, and they felt that people, the 70s, and people were kind of, party culture was a big thing, and they felt people were getting a little too relaxed and stuff. So they tried to put things into popular culture to make people want to do the hustle, work.
Oh yeah.
Realize that song actually it helped all these people who would be out late night partying. They'd wake up in the morning and want to go to work, even though they only got 3 hours of sleep. It helped them with that subliminally, subconsciously.
Yeah, subliminals, and they still do that today. I don't listen to a lot of the newer music out because, especially, and I hate to say this, but because I love hip hop. Okay, I love it. I grew up on it. Okay, but a lot of like the newer songs, especially, look, no shade, y'all, to anybody, but a lot of the songs that come out, especially like new songs out of Atlanta where I live, it's very monotonous. It's mumbling. You can't understand what people are saying, and it is what it is.
And there's just this darkness there. I mean,
There's
look no
something dark
further
about it.
than Travis Scott, and then you could look to like
Satanic, really.
Mafia, which were
666.
Yeah, which they openly admit that they're satanic, and they were trying to make Satanism cool, and the government was involved with all that stuff. These guys are Satanists. And something I always try to reiterate here, because they use these psyop techniques that work really well, and I want to kind of push through them. And satanic panic was a real thing. Remember that?
Like I do.
Yeah, like I remember.
Absolutely.
I remember I had a friend who couldn't trade Pokemon cards because it was demonic or whatever. Which that I think would be a good example of satanic panic.
Dungeons and Dragons.
I feel like that was used kind of as a psyop technique to sweep the very real thing, the phenomenon that was going on across the country and the world at the time that was being exposed of satanic cults trafficking people and using them in rituals and doing all sorts of messed up stuff. It's a criminal organization that's global is what it is. And that was being exposed at the time. And they were able to kind of use this evangelical kind of satanic panic thing to make it all look silly and sweep it under the rug. And if you watch like Michael Aquino, Colonel Michael Aquino, he actually went on Oprah looking like fucking Eddie Munster, sorry to swear. But literally, I mean, he's got his eyebrows all curled up and he looks like Eddie Munster.
Yeah. And they're bushy eyebrows.
I just think his whole thing was trying to make people think it's all, because he called the fake Satanists card-carrying Satanists that wanted it for notoriety and cocktail clubs and things like that. And he basically went on Oprah and tried to portray himself and all Satanists as that. And when he was questioned about all the criminal activity that this cult is engaging in, he basically denied it flat out and said that it was alarmism, it was a satanic panic, because you got to keep in mind, this guy was the head of the psychological operations department of the U.S. military, meaning his job was to manipulate public opinion.
Intelligence.
Yeah, and I've worked for him in the Montauk Project. I have a whole video on my channel about how the Son of Sam was actually a Montauk operation connected to the Temple of Set, which was overseen by Michael Aquino, who at the time, if you look into it, guess who just got inducted as the psychological military operations officer, the head of it, right before that happened.
I don't know who.
Michael Aquino. And he was in charge of all that. And it was because in the original reality, there was a church that would come out of New York, spread throughout the U.S. and the world. And they were very, I guess you could say, I don't want to, use a buzz term that's going to make people feel a certain way about them. They're good people. They believe in like socialism, sort of, or just like helping one another, I guess. The teaching of Christ. And they would do stuff like, we would bomb the Middle East, right? We like in this reality that it's been edited. It's like our reality, but before it got edited as much as this has been now. In the original reality, there was this church that they do stuff like go to the Middle East after bombing them. I mean, like, we don't care that we're Muslims. This is not us. This isn't America. And they'd help them. They'd bring them food and stuff like that. And this was actually a thing that put a wedge in all these diplomatic relations of these powerful countries and made them look silly and helped like literally stabilize the world more. Like, I'm not saying there wasn't any war, but this church actually made the world way more peaceful. And of course, these Satanists had to edit the timeline and make it so some of these people were never even born, or they got unalived before they could do certain things. And that's a lot of what the Son of Sam was doing. And it wasn't just the Son of Sam. I remember unaliving people as part of that operation personally. and it was mostly people in New York because that's where the church would have started. So I'm sorry to get so sidetracked, but back to the music.
No, actually, just to rewind a little bit, or just to kind of complement what you're saying, there's a lot of time erasure through time travel. Okay, and you had mentioned Andrew Basiago earlier. I've discussed him before on the show and with you, and on a show I did specifically on Project Pegasus. Okay, and if you go back and you look through all the different declassified documents and things like that, I mean, you can find lots of information on some of these programs. You may not find a lot of it, but there's whistleblower testimony like Andrew Basiago. You can even find pictures where he claims it's him as a child at the Gettysburg Address.
And I know there are pictures
wearing big shoes.
I know there are pictures of me too in time periods that I shouldn't be in, but I haven't been able to find them yet. But I know that they do exist, and I also do remember, like for example, I remember there was some like extravagant party somewhere in Europe, and I remember David Bowie and all these people were there, and I remember that some Montauk time agents, such as myself and stuff, were there, and pictures were taken. And I remember that we tracked down the photographer and basically like threatened his life if he didn't give us all the photos, and like told him that bad things would happen to him if there are any more copies. And this guy had no idea why. He probably just figured we didn't want pictures of us partying or something. But it was because we weren't supposed to like be there. We weren't supposed to exist. So there are pictures though. There are certain situations where, you know, we couldn't avoid it, and you know, it's just pretty much all of them are kind of pictures like Andrew's though, where it's like you can tell it's him, but also skeptics can very easily debate that it's not him. You know what I mean? So we still don't have the solid proof yet, but I can only imagine that somewhere out there is some sort of photo that like concretely proves this stuff. In fact, I'm pretty sure if you look into like time travel YouTube, there are some stories.
Oh, really? Man, it's wild. It just there's been so many things that have been changed and altered, and
Mandela effects.
Mandela. I was just about that was on the tip of my tongue. The Mandela effect. Yeah, absolutely. Because we wonder, you know, the way that we rationalize it is like, oh, we're just on different timelines and we've merged, and I was on this timeline and you were on that timeline, and
there is a little bit of that. It's very complicated. Quantum physics definitely aren't simple, and time and what realities we occupy all have to do with quantum physics, which we barely understand right now. But the truth is, this timeline is being edited by time corporations. All right, that's what's really going on. And there's also parallel realities that we interact with. We're in reality 1138B. All right, 1138A is a much less edited version of our reality, where there are zeppelins instead of airplanes and stuff like that. It's like it's where Edward comes from. And yeah.
Well, Arkheim, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I've been watching a lot of these like my lunch break and stuff on YouTube. I like that guy. Okay, I've mentioned him the past 2 shows. This is the 3rd show in a row I've mentioned that guy. Okay, maybe I'll get him on the show one day. He does really good research, and he's done deep dives into all these pictures that have been doctored from the 1800s and beyond, early 1900s, where he believes, and I believe it too, there's zeppelins in the air. Airships all over the place, and why would they want to cover that up so bad?
Because they don't want. I can explain the reason.
Okay.
Very simple. Have you ever traveled in an airplane?
Yes.
Do you enjoy it?
No. No.
Zeppelins are enjoyable to travel in. Okay, I know it because I've experienced it and I remember it. Okay.
Okay.
They have bars on them, arcades, theaters. You can have a room you can lay down and go to sleep. It takes a little bit longer than an airplane, usually like 4 or 5 hours longer or whatever, depending, but you don't have to make any stops. You can look out the window, you can walk around, you're not trapped in this place like sardines. And I've said this so many times, there's a million different ways they try to do it, but what they want to do is limit human travel. Okay. They want to make it so that it's hard for us to travel, or we don't even want to travel, make it uncomfortable. I can tell you from personal experience, because, I live on the West Coast now, my family's in the Midwest, and I like to visit them pretty often, and also have conferences, things like this. From traveling, it's not a pleasant experience. It's not a thing that makes me go, oh, I want to do this more. But it was actually pleasant when you travel by Zeppelin. And not only that, there were Zeppelins that were kind of known as places. the Zeppelin itself, it wasn't like just like you strapped yourself into a box like this and
And
just
you get a
wait
pat
until you
down.
get to where you're going. No, you actually got to hang out, talk to people, relax, have a good time. Can you imagine that? The world
Yeah.
was a better place because of it. You want to know why? Because people are supposed to mingle. That's the one
Yes.
thing that they've been trying to do. They with the event that shall be not named that happened in 2020. One of the biggest things that they're trying to do that they succeeded at in many ways, but also failed at in many ways. So there's hope. Is they're trying to make it so people didn't hang out in real life, separate us more, divide us more. When we mingle together in the real world in public spaces and stuff like that, like Zeppelins or whatever, and we actually talk to each other, and we're not just like zombies staring at our phones, we realize that, oh, that guy that's a Trump supporter and that guy that voted for Joe Biden or whatever, maybe they don't actually have so much not in common, and they actually
Right.
could get along. And like we realize that we actually don't have so much not in common, and we realize we just get along better and the world is a better place. But because of that, the people at the top have a harder time taking advantage of people. And so
Control. It's all about
exactly,
control.
so
Conquer, divide.
but think about, like, for instance, remember 2020, that was when Meta came out. That was when the metaverse came out, virtual reality. And they thought, I know what they thought. They thought, oh, everybody's going to get it. They're going to go on there. They're going to get hooked to it. And then we got them. And you want to know what happened? It was a dead space. Everybody was like, this is stupid.
Everybody went over to
And
TikTok.
hardly anybody bought it, like,
Right.
or used it. And TikTok was the thing that really actually took off. But it's just like, and in a way, with social media and things like that, they have succeeded in dividing us. But here's the thing: is we're very quickly having the public conversations about these things. Like, think about, for instance, like the way we treat drugs in society. It took a lot of learning and a lot of things to happen, and mistakes and trials and tribulations for us to make some of the laws that we had, get treatment centers for certain things and stuff like that. And these phones and what they're doing to people, it's literally going to be like that. They're going to have to invent new laws to protect people, because it's like a drug that's in your pocket and it's surveilling you and invading your privacy and listening to you all the time and connecting to your mind with a neural link without your permission. I mean, these are wild things that are happening. But like I said, the hope is, like, I know that we're kind of disconnected in society, maybe compared to 20, 30 years ago, but I don't think they've pushed us off the edge as far as they've wanted us to get pushed off that edge. And in my opinion, people are realizing that social media and living on your phone and living in that augmented reality is kind of lame. And spending all your time just scrolling on your phone is really bad for you. And society's already slowly moving away from that. So it's like, I think it's going to be a good thing. I think that there's a lot of hope in humanity, and it's just like anything else. Sometimes you gotta, um, trip and fall to realize, oh, don't, be careful. There's a pothole there or whatever. I don't know. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to make a metaphor here, but like sometimes you have to make the mistake to learn the lesson. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you have to live it. You have to. Sometimes you got to get a bump on the head to understand. To understand, you need to be more careful about stuff. Is all I'm saying. Okay, and but yeah, my thought is like, well, could there be some good time travelers here in the future, or maybe even in the past? I'm going to say in the future, that can go back, get some time travel technology. I know I've heard my own voice in the woods say time travel. Okay, so maybe go back and maybe kind of, I don't want to say reset. I hate the word reset because it's like, gosh, it sounds like all the human resets are so negative and wiping so many people out. But maybe one day we can get like a good reset. Okay, like where everything's just more positive. And
I think that reset would be. This is my opinion on what we would call a reset or the new age or whatever. Is, how people talk about like spiritual stuff often talk about the shadow self.
yes,
Like, you have to face the dark night of the soul. You have to face your inner turmoil, your inner darkness, in order to kind of see the light. Well, humanity has to do that, and that's what a lot of these light workers that are trying to give people hope to sell them whatever it is they're peddling. Not to be mean, but it they don't want to tell you that humanity's going to have to do that, because what I can testify to is a lot of the reason why they're lying to us about space is, like, for instance, like the alien invasion scenario. That's a pop culture thing in all of our consciousness that we all know about, right? Oh, aliens are invading. Well, the reason why is because we're the guys that do that. That's why they put that in pop culture. And that's why they don't tell you what we're doing. It's because it's like Avatar. And anybody with eyes can see it's wrong. But these corporations don't care about that. So they've decided, oh, we just won't let people know about it. So we can just do it out in the open and get away with it. And think about it. If you're working on an asteroid somewhere, they clone you, they bring you out there, they raise you there. You don't got no escape. There's nowhere you can go. You're a slave. That's what I keep on trying to explain to people. People are like distracted by all the mystical woo and the portals and the cloning. It's all very magical and interesting. I'm not saying it's not, but I always try to remind people, as much as it's nice to learn about the finer details, and it is important to learn about them, I'm trying to remember that these technologies these esoteric technologies are being used against mankind instead of to help us. They're using it against us to enslave us, and that's why I'm here talking. Is because I want people to realize that the corporations that are doing this need to be held accountable. What they're doing is wrong. What I have done working for these people is wrong, and the fact that they took me when I was a child and put me under mind control and all this stuff is, of course, very clearly wrong. And that's why I'm public. I want to remind people about that every single time that I talk about this stuff.
Oh yeah, we need voices like yours, Arkheim, and so thank you so much for being that voice and being one of the many voices. Actually, there's a lot of people speaking out, but
I wouldn't be
some are a little more,
Penny
some are more
Bradley,
than others.
Joseph Powell, and Max Beers, and many other people who came before me. I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, well, and a lot of them have lost their lives too.
They're great as well.
We were just talking about Donald Marshall and let's see, Phil Schneider and Max Spears just on my shows this week. I had Matthew Mornian on yesterday, and we talked about the positive reptilians, and then on Monday we talked about the negative reptilians and the reptilian empire. Okay, and but we were talking about I was mentioning the whistleblowers. Some of them don't make it past a couple of years after they start telling the truth about these things, and so that kind of has probably kept some people from actually coming forward and speaking out.
Yes, there's a woman that I was going to have on my show, Renetta Jones, rest in peace. She recently passed away under very mysterious circumstances after 2 weeks after warning that they're trying to unalive her on her social media, basically posting like, when I pass away, they're the ones who did it. And so I tend to think that that's what happened. And I know that these kind of things can happen to people, and that's maybe why I was really nervous to come on here and talk about some of this stuff. But yeah, this to explain. Should I get back into like the music kind of aspect?
Yeah. Yes. Well, rest in peace to Renetta. I didn't get a chance to meet her, but I was able to watch her. I watched her on James's show several times.
Shout out to James for covering her so much. Also, Rob.
Oh yeah, Rob with Typical Skeptic podcast. Be there
forever. Thanks to those guys, and you got to give them props for that.
For sure. Yes, and keep speaking out, y'all. Okay. See, I know I do all this for fun. What I do is for fun. I love it, but I also see that there's a big importance for this. It's important that we all get out here and use our voice to talk about what we know, and the more of us, the better. Okay, the more of us, the better, and the more people that have the courage to do what you're doing right now, Arkheim, the better. That's how we start changing things.
That is what I want. That is what I'm here to do. I want other people to come forward. I want other people to talk, and I want to just end these programs or just make humanity, I guess, like aware of its own existence and what reality actually is, instead of having a fake representation of it, a watered down version of it that keeps them docile and stupid. They deserve better than that. Everybody deserves better than that.
We all deserve better than that. For sure. And okay, well, let's get into the music aspect of all of this. And okay, thank you. So we got the overview of like the Montauk Project, Project Phoenix. You have been a time cop, time traveler, and done some actually nefarious things. Okay, that you admit you do remember. You recall doing that kind of stuff. And
it wasn't all bad.
Talked about it. It wasn't all bad.
I feel like most of it was, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is, and I'm glad that you're here to talk about it, and that's part of the healing. Okay, part of the healing
Absolutely.
is just talking about it. And we've dived into some really interesting targets that you've given me, including like underground bases or facilities, like that cloning facility in Iowa was one of them. We've covered jump rooms to Venus, jump rooms to Mars. We have covered all sorts of stuff, and robot grandma. Okay, but yeah, let's. Speaking of the airships were actually a part of colonizing Venus today, right? With the whole Elon Musk thing, right? Wasn't Elon or somebody? We I think we covered that. The atmosphere of Venus.
Seemed to suggest that he had some stuff going on in airships, which kind of matches up with what I said. They can be like a whole place, you know. So from what you got out of the data, it seemed like he had some operations that he was literally running out of airships on Venus and using them to colonize the world and build bases and stuff is what it sounded like. Bases in the area, like you said, where even NASA scientists are saying we could be. It's in the sky, but there's an area where we actually would be able to habitat it, which is kind of wild to think about. Even NASA says that. So, yeah, that was a really interesting show. Go back and watch that, people, after this if you haven't seen it. And
I need stuff. Yeah, we need to start like posting all the links to all of our former shows, the previous shows, down in the description box. I need to start doing that because it seems like we do end up referencing quite a few.
That would be a good thing to do.
Yeah,
all of our interviews and just all the different guests.
We'll do that.
Playlists for them. It'll take a while because you have a lot of great guests, but
yeah, I do need to start categorizing them, probably like secret space program and time travel and cryptids and whatever. I know. I love the variety here. Gosh, it's so great. It makes the channel special. So I love that. Okay. Well, so you sent me a couple of targets, and I didn't have a clue what they were. I just got some numbers, y'all. I got coordinates. Okay. Yeah. And you, when I sent you the data, then you told me what they were. And I know that we had talked about the music industry before, and I've actually seen you perform live, singing and playing your guitar in Florida last year. And we were at Montauk together too. Of course, we spent like a week together out there with our crew. But I got to see you're a wonderful musician, very talented, and you are part of some program. Like how did you get into the music in Montauk? Like I know you said that it was important. You guys made music, but like. It's all mind control. Like, how did all that work?
A little kid, and they just told me to. They just told me to learn. They just told me to play music and talk. Like, I don't remember it really all that well, but I do remember that I was probably 6 or 7 or 8, really young, and I could play the piano, and I could play, like, in this reality I can't, but I remember I could play Moonlight Sonata, like Beethoven songs and stuff. But they had like a recording studio that everybody used. Well, not everyone, but there are different people who are good at different things. I was one of the people who was known for being a songwriter, like a great songwriter, and that was mostly what I did, is just wrote whole ass songs, produced them. Maybe I worked with the band. A lot of times I didn't, though. And yeah, it was just a whole operation out of Montauk where they were making music and also taking music from other realities. I can give you an example. The song Dream On that Aerosmith sings is actually by a band from an alternate reality called JetBlue.
Like the airline?
Yes. And JetBlue, the airline, the reason why they named that is a nod to that. And just like JetBlue, the band, the guy who started JetBlue is from Detroit.
Oh my gosh.
And Detroit, in the alternate reality, they're basically known as the American Beatles. They also wrote Back on the USSR. So I don't know how the Beatles got that, but they didn't write that song. That was their version was better too. It was more rock and roll and like raw. But yeah, they were and another cool thing that I liked about them a lot too, to give you some background on them. Yeah. They were white boys from Detroit, right, which is a very black city. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that they would do is they were friends with all these soul guys, these soul singers and stuff, the people from Motown. And when they would go on national television, a lot of times they would have these guys come on stage with them or whatever. And they ended up making Motown more a part of not just black culture, but white culture. And in one of those weird things where like music unites people. I don't like to say it's weird. It's not weird,
It
but
does.
JetBlue is an amazing band in that way, where they were such good friends with so many black musicians and stuff, being Detroiters, that it just kind of helped America. Their music and the music they made, because they would collaborate with these Motown guys. It was just cool. They're a really cool band, and it's too bad that we didn't get them in this reality. But we did get Dream On, which is a really cool song. And I'm sure there's others. I can't remember all of them. But yeah, they were a really cool band. I remember the cover of their album is, and it's weird because they're from the reality with Zeppelins too, and they're called JetBlue. But it's literally them. They're standing in front of a jet, with like wearing the '70s clothes, and it's through a fisheye lens, and they all got like froze and stuff. And I actually do think one of the guys was maybe a mixed guy or a black guy, but other than that, we're white boys. But it was like, yeah, 5 guys, and it was just like, I remember that cover, like it was like, and then the background, like it was like the jet there. And so of course JetBlue, they named in this reality, like they're totally connected to all that stuff. And it's like I said before, they these people who pull the strings and do things, they love to kind of put little clues out there, little nuggets for the other people out there that are in the know, to let them know that they're in the know. You know what I mean?
Very occultish, right? It's like throwing up the symbol, like the hand gestures and stuff. It's like there's a big club and most of us ain't in it. Okay. But they have their symbols. Also, when they say their symbols will be their downfall. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, isn't it weird how there's like so many parallels and stuff? And I've even been told there's like, especially within the secret space program, there are people who are whistleblowers and stuff who basically their lives parallel some of these real life comic book characters and stuff as well, which is it's really odd. I know, right? There is a Marvel character named Jessica Jones. I'm just saying. Okay.
Yeah, it's literally named Jessica Jones.
Yes, there is. But I'm not saying that's me, y'all. Okay. I'm not saying that. But it is kind of weird. It is a little weird. So, yeah. Oh, anyways, how interesting though. There's like parallel reality, parallel universe where things are just a little bit different. Things are just mixed up slightly.
Mm-hmm.
So you can tell and you can tell, but you can't. You know what I mean? And it almost makes me, I mean, it's racks my brain. It'll rack my brain if I think about it too much.
Oh, dude, it's crazy.
Yeah. It is.
I mean, I can tell you from being at Montauk, it was kind of like Rick and Morty. We were going to alternate realities and doing, like, it was crazy. It was like,
yeah, Rick and Morty. That's a great cartoon. Yeah,
it is, and it was kind of also like that. But we're like think about it. I was a little kid following around Preston Nichols. He would bring me places. It was kind of like that, but he was a pervert and a POS.
That's him, isn't it?
Yeah, that's him right there.
Yeah,
he's
not a good person.
He's a prolific abuser of kids, and I want to make that clear that he shouldn't be glorified in any way.
And I also want to state, I hate to say this at this moment, but I have to. This is for entertainment purposes only, y'all. Okay, for YouTube purposes tonight, I do have to say that. And
you're just asking questions, and
we're just throwing things out there,
looking at things from a different perspective, and asking what if. Right?
What if? So, that's right. What if? And we're just talking about data tonight. Okay, I've got a bunch of data for you, Arkheim, for both of these targets. And it's so weird. I have not heard them.
Don't worry about Preston team coming after you. He's dead. So.
Oh, he's dead. Okay. Well, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I ain't scared. Don't worry. Okay, so I had not heard the term. I've not even thought about this term, fish eye lens. And you just said it. And guess what is in my data?
Fish eye
lens.
Wow.
That is one of the terms in my data. Yes.
Wow.
I know, right? That is weird. There's so many things. I mean, even the pictures that I had to pull up tonight for reference.
Really freaked me out.
One of them definitely freaked you out.
I don't want to
talk about it.
I don't want to really tell people.
Okay, we don't have to talk about it.
Well, no, I just want to say that finding this YouTube page that we're going to talk about was really emotional for me.
Shall I go ahead and put this in the chat right now so people can find it? Okay, I know this poor guy, he's probably got like 90 something subscribers, and he's going to get a lot of traffic now. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm putting it in the chat right now. So you guys,
some of these
it's
songs
in the chat.
I think some of these songs you might genuinely be making. I don't know if it's just Preston on this page or if it's an actual English guy or what's going on, but there's no.
Wait, Preston's not here anymore though, right?
Time travel.
Yeah, I know. I
And
was
he has
kidding.
access to the internet.
I know.
He in the here and now. There's no way that he could ever, you know what I mean, be mad at you for talking about him on your show though, because yeah.
Okay.
All he can do is hide in the shadows.
Yes, I
But
hunt the shadows. I'll get Dennis to hunt the shadows.
what we were talking about.
Okay, we're talking about the channel. This guy's channel, who I
Yeah,
just put it. It's called Ground Level.
it came up on my suggested, which is very weird because it has like 90
Okay.
subscribers. So think about that one. And it's like some
Yeah.
of these got like less than 50 views, some of these songs. And it is claiming, it's somebody claiming to be like this English guy that's basically writing lyrics and then programming an AI to put out songs. But
Okay.
some of these songs I remember from the projects. One of them, one example is Gypsy Boy, which is a song that Janis Joplin wrote about
Okay.
Bobby McGee, her partner, and
I love Janice.
yeah, she was.
I love Bobby
You know,
McGee.
she wrote Hallelujah. Leonard
Yeah.
Cohen didn't write that song. She wrote that song.
I didn't know she wrote it first. Yeah. No, I didn't know she wrote it.
In our history, what you know, like what people think and what people believe, like the common agreed on history is that Leonard Cohen wrote that song. He didn't. He's part of like the occult stuff going on, and he lifted that song from her somehow, and he did not write that song. That is Janis Joplin's song, and her version, which is a crime that we don't get to hear because there's no version that compares to it. Her version is, God, just thinking about it is breathtaking. And yeah, she was a Montauk Time soldier.
Mm-hmm.
I knew her as Catherine, and she had many other names as well, alters in the project. But I actually had a very close relationship with her, and I care about her like a sister. Actually, I know her quite well. Same thing with David Bowie. I never, of course, met them in this life, and they're probably not even aware of my existence, and they probably don't remember me either because their memory wiped. David Bowie's obviously no longer with us, and neither is Janis Joplin. But yeah, they were part of these projects, and Janis had songs taken from her. I'm sure Bowie did as well. Although from what I can tell, he actually had songs from the programs being given to him that he didn't write in the here and now. That's what it looks like for me, from what I remember. Like, because he didn't write a lot of his songs, other people did. But yeah, it was. There's a lot of people. Oh, here's another interesting thing. Get this, Napoleon. You know,
Napoleon Bonaparte.
Napoleon Bonaparte.
Bonaparte.
He writes songs, and he's a Montauk Time soldier, and a lot of famous music was written by Napoleon Bonaparte. You know the song, "Where Did You Go, My Lovely?" You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. No,
it's a Napoleon song. He wrote that. Yeah.
Oh my God.
In the projects.
That's wild. You know what? Napoleon is featured in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, where they are time traveling in a phone booth.
Yeah, I'm actually friends with them.
I don't doubt it.
They give us these lives to reward us for certain things where we get to just spend like 20 years with our family, and we'll live on an asteroid or something like that in a bubble, and they'll reward us by letting us live close to each other because we're friends, and me and my family will have dinner and stuff. And he has a golden piano, and we jam together. And I'm pretty sure there's songs that are out there that we probably wrote together. Not that I can remember right now, but we play music together, we jam together, and our families are in this time bubble where we get to hang out as reward for service. That's how they pay us people. They don't give us. Oh my gosh. That's how they do it. They let us spend time with the people we love, that they take away from us and give to us whenever they want. Because they're gods of time. Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah, it's terrible. When that does happen, like it's a messed up way to control people. But hey, I'm gonna enjoy the 20 years, and I know that history doesn't. He did some messed up things in history. He was a time soldier, okay? I don't think you can judge him for any of that because that was all Montauk. He was a Montauk. That was all Montauk stuff, everything he did. That's how he had the upper hand every time. It's because he was a Montauk time soldier. I actually love the guy. I love the guy.
That's, it. So the music industry, celebrities are all so intertwined with Montauk programs, the MK Ultra. Okay, because we all know, like, that's something that the general public can relate to with some of the MK Ultra programming. okay, because we see it. It's been put in our faces with like Britney Spears, for instance, right?
Mhm.
People like people, anybody that loses their mind.
Rammstein made this song called "Do."
Yeah.
I think the whole music video is, I can sum it up to you pretty fast. Definitely recommend people checking it out. But they break into a palace, find clones of themselves, and then start the palace on fire, which is basically the same as another music video, which is a Britney Spears song, where they do the same thing. She breaks into a facility. There's a bunch of her clones there. She blows the place up and leaves. So they're showing you that this is what's going on. The reason why it was called Chiron Studios, Max Martin and Dennis Pop, the recording studio that they started in the 90s that put out Celine Dion, the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, The Weeknd, Pink. I can go on and on, okay?
Yeah.
It's called Chiron Studios because Chiron was the Greek god who was cursed with the gift of immortality, but he longed for death and he could not die. That's why it's called Chiron Studios. Isn't
Oh
that
my
not
gosh.
fucked up?
That's sinister right there.
They are very sinister.
That's very sinister.
They're Satanists,
Yeah.
dude. They're
Yeah.
Moloch worshippers. You know, like
Mhm.
the people who, like, in history, you see those pictures of them sacrificing babies to Moloch and stuff. That's real. That's what they do. That's who they are. Those religions never ended. All they did was go underground and hide what they're doing after the Crusades and all that stuff. All they did was have to do what they do secretly and hide it. And all that did was, in some ways, is make them more powerful because they're able to do everything in secrecy and never be held responsible for it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it is in our faces 100%. And I really do like this comment that, let's see, Damien had just posted. It says our planet is at an extremely critical tipping point. We need to project world peace as a whole. 100%. Yes, we need to start projecting.
What you can do is you can meditate
Good.
on world peace every day. They actually have done the study where they brought monks into New York City, okay? Buddhist monks from like, out in the middle of nowhere in Laos or whatever it is, just to do an experiment where they meditated on like peace, and it made the crime rate drop in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
So there's actual statistical data backing up the fact that if we focus on peace, meditate on it, it actually can have some physical impact in the real world.
It can.
So that and just trying to be a peaceful person, I guess. We can make the world a better place. It's a struggle. We struggle, can. But we can make the world a better place. People have their, even it's like you see within this community and stuff like that. There's little tips, but
yeah. Well, every time it seems like there's always something to counteract or negate anything, like we have to start counteracting what the bad, negating what the bad side's doing, right? Like turning on, large hadron colliders and large ion colliders under all these cities across America and all over the world and stuff, and all the dark. It's a constant battle, Arkheim.
Yeah,
it feels like
these people understand ritual, thought, inflicting your will and inflicting thought and using ritual to solidify that.
Yeah.
All this stuff, right? And it's like, I think it's time for us to start using that for good. And I know there's some religious people, maybe Christian people, but I don't want to do that. I just want to pray. That's fine. Do that. It's the same thing. Pray to God, pray to Jesus, for peace, for these things. It's just an equal act. Well, what we have to do is we have to transmute these energies. It sounds like woo, but it isn't. I mean, like I said, there's physical evidence for it. And of course, how we conduct ourselves and how we live our lives is obviously going to help with that. It's easier said than done. There's a lot of dickheads out there, right? Some people are difficult to deal with, but we got to try to be kinder to one another. It sounds oversimplified and maybe silly, but it's true, and we all know it's true, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Before we get into the data in that first target, let's Sovereign Cosmic Wildman said, I guess I missed this earlier. He said, run it by Arkheim if he knows why the album Mac Miller did with Madlib is being held back. He heard it's deep.
Well, he was in the programs. He was actually Janis Joplin's trauma twin, believe it or not. A trauma twin is the person that they were in love with each other, and that Montauk used, hey, if you do this, we'll let you be with Janis. If you do this, we'll let you be with Mac. That kind of stuff. That's what they do in these programs. They call it a trauma twin. It's the carrot they dangle in front of you to get you to do what they want. It's very sick. But so they get you to do evil things because you love someone. It's messed up. But basically, the last music video that he was going to make, the guy from MySpace, Tom, he posted to Twitter about how one of the last things that Mac Miller did before he passed was like 3 days before he passed. He said, "Hey, yo, I'm making a music video for a song, Tom, and you're a legend. You know, everybody knows that image of you in front of the board, you know?" He's like, "I want to get a shot of you in this music video in front of the board." And he's like, and like, you're hanging out, and we talk for a second in the music, like, you're in the music video for a second, hanging out with me. And he's like, "Are you kidding me? Of course I'll do this. Like, this is awesome." He's like, "If you don't mind me asking, like, what's going on in the music video? What's happening in it?" And Mac wrote back to him and told him that it was him teleporting all over the place throughout like history and stuff.
What?
Well, what do you think? He was, and 27, the reason why they deactivate people at that age is that's when you start getting your memories back.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Really?
Yes, that's when you start getting your memories back. I didn't know about any of this stuff when I was 26. Even 27, I still was pretty clueless. It takes a lot to figure out, oh, wait, so they can take my consciousness out of my body and put it into a clone and make me live a whole life and then put me back? That's a really fucking hard thing to understand, actually. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it takes a minute for it to sink in.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. So I guess they have to like reprogram people. You have to go back to the reprogramming building, I guess, after you hit 27, or they just take you out, right?
Yeah, I mean, Preston Nichols did an interview with James Rink, which you can find on his channel, and it's very creepy, honestly. It's a very creepy interview.
Oh, yeah.
But he flat out says that they try to make it sure that we pass away young. That's part of the programming.
Yeah.
They put programming in us to make us basically,
unalive yourself, self-delete, right?
Yeah.
That is really, that's terrible.
If you start waking up, then you're useless to them. Which I mean, I don't know, but like, I guess for me, it doesn't matter. But if you're Mac Miller or Janis Joplin, you got the biggest microphone in the world. You could tell people about it. It's more dangerous to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
danger to society.
I know they got rid of them, just like they got rid of Chester Bennington and many others who wanted to tell the truth.
Oh yeah, the 27 Club. Yes, this is. We hear about that a lot. We've always heard about that.
27, but it's still, and I'm not sure if you figured out he was in the programs, which he was, but he was figuring out like very surface level stuff that's very messed up about trafficking of children and things like this, and he was going to expose it. And for all I know, because the documentary is going to make never came out, maybe he would have gotten to the more esoteric, satanic parts of it. You know what I mean? He probably would have, for all we know.
Yeah.
So that would have been very dangerous to them, and I know they got rid of him. I say that without any doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
And also, that has been songs that I made were supposed to go to him. I remember that. There's this band called Smash Everything Into Pieces, and a bunch of their music was supposed to go to Chester Bennington for one of his solo albums. And some of these songs that you'll find on this page, Ground Level, were also supposed to go to either Smash Everything Into Pieces or Chester Bennington. And all the people who try to, you can't do just Chester Bennington. That guy could sing, man. He had some pipes on him, dude. You can't just replace that guy. So the songs haven't done nearly as well as in the reality where they were given to Chester, because you can't just replace them and have it be the same song. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, that's Linkin Park was that group, and I used to be a big fan of them. Yeah, back in the 90s or 2000s, I can't remember. It's been a while.
I grew up on them, and their first album was literally called Hybrid Theory. They clearly know about
Hybrid Theory.
Yeah, which is about hybridization and about alien abductions and stuff like that. That's what Hybrid Theory is.
Well, it's just in our faces, everyone. If you guys just want to do a little digging, it's not hard to find all this stuff because it is in our faces, and it's just stuff that I don't know if we just all been asleep for so long. We just under a spell. We just didn't know. we just didn't know better. But we're here to talk about it today.
Yeah,
And
we can look at the data now if you want. I'm sorry.
yeah,
We're
absolutely.
55
Let's do
minutes
it.
into this and we still haven't looked at the
Yeah.
data. My apologies. I'm just
Don't apologize. Well, you know what? We kind of needed to set it all up. Okay.
Right.
It's good to set it up, what the target is, and to give some background, because even I was like not exactly sure what this target was, and so I think that it was wonderful that we got all that background. And so now we're going to get into the first target. Okay. The first target deals with that website or the YouTube channel, right? And it's the song. Is it a particular song, or is it like who is behind it? What
It's
exactly
actually a
was that first
particular song. So the first one is whoever is uploading to this ground level. So
and if you're ground
whoever
level,
it is.
holler at us, okay? They're probably going to get a lot of traffic, and they're going to wonder who the heck the Cryptid Huntress is.
So
Okay.
I had that as the first target,
Okay.
and then the second target was whoever wrote a particular song that's called "Circus" on the page, which it was supposed to be given to Avril Lavigne and was not given to her, and was instead uploaded to this freaking tiny YouTube page where an AI apparently crapped it out. And it's like, there's stuff like with this page where like there's a song by Janis Joplin called Gypsy Boy. This is apparently some English guy in the UK, right? And I don't see how he would write this song because it's from a woman's perspective about falling in love with a wanderer and all this stuff. And it was one of Janis Joplin's songs. That's one of her songs.
Wow.
And there's many others on there. It's not, like I said, it's not all songs just that I wrote, but this page is very strange. And there's also Project Phoenix symbolism. They're one of the videos. It's literally a phoenix with a clock in front of it. It's called Ground Level, which, like I said, it was underground, and now these songs are finally on the surface. It makes sense to call it Ground Level. There's a lot of really weird stuff going on here, but at the same time, this guy responded to one of my comments because I'm like, "How are you?" He has many songs about like the horrors of war, and I was like, "How are you? Are you a vet? Like, how do you have all these songs about war?" And he's just like, "Oh, it's about the war in my mind." And he put out this like AI song that he made, which I didn't write. He made that. So some of the songs he might actually make. I don't know how this is all working. I don't know what's going on here. I think there's probably a few of them. Like I noticed there's a couple that he made for his mom that I don't think were from the programs. So I don't know what's going on. And music's interesting too because sometimes it just comes into reality in really weird ways. So like what if it's the AI doing it and this guy's just kind of, I don't know how it's happening, but it's happening. And that's part of the reason why I wanted you to view it, is because it's all very confusing to me. I thought maybe we could make sense of it with the data.
I was just thinking of something as you're explaining that. I'm like, what if it's you that put that channel out?
That would be so weird.
God, wouldn't that be weird?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, we have all these like time travel things. I mean, what if it's, I'm just saying, because this data is wild.
I called this guy out. I said, this song was written by Janis Joplin. You're stealing these songs. These are from Project Phoenix. These are from MK Ultra programs. He didn't respond to any of that. He had to have seen it. He just responded to the thing about, I'm like, what, are you a vet? Why are you talking about war so much? Like, you must have experienced some really wild things. Are you a veteran of war? And he's like, no, it's the war in my mind, brother. And it's like, it's insulting because the people who wrote these songs actually did experience war, and it was horrifying. And it's be like, I just shit it out through a robot. There's a war in my mind. Fuck you. Sorry,
oh gosh,
I can't be rude like that, but like that just makes me mad. Like,
oh gosh, look, okay, no shade to the guy who has that channel, y'all. Okay,
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that.
No, right? No shade.
I shouldn't have done that. If he ever wants to talk,
hit up our team, please. Yes.
And I'm sorry, but that just, I want anybody to understand my perspective.
Oh my gosh.
That if this is true, and this guy's claiming them, how do you feel if somebody went through some horrible pain, right? And wrote a song about it to express their frustrations, get it out, and it's this beautiful song. And some guy just claims that he wrote it on a cereal box while he's having his coffee after taking a dump or whatever and forgot about it. Oh, then I put it into an AI once I found the cereal box. It's like he's insulting the songs by saying stuff like that, is the way I feel. And I shouldn't have said I shouldn't have insulted him, but I have questions and concerns that are valid.
Understandable, absolutely. And
I'm sorry, like again, I'm sorry to do that on your channel. I know that.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. But
it's not okay because you're the most chill person ever, and you don't want conflict, and I'm not trying to bring that here. So I just want to say I'm sorry, and you don't have to say it's okay because in my opinion it wasn't okay. But we're past that now. I apologize.
We're moving on. It's all good. And to person who, if you are watching this and hearing my voice right now, get in touch with Arkheim. He's got his own YouTube channel. It's called Disclosure Now with the exclamation point. We'll get you in touch. Okay, reach out.
He's aware of it. He's aware of it.
Oh, he is. Okay.
He's commenting on my stuff and I'm commenting stuff. He knows who I am.
Cool.
So we could talk. That'd be nice.
Yeah. Y'all should do a powwow. That would be really cool.
Yeah, maybe that would like blow our minds and open up more information about this. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's get into it then. Okay. So the first target, I have like a good bit of data here. Okay, for this first target, and this is these songs. Okay, right. And the guys, whatever's behind these songs. Okay, the AI or whatever. Okay, and this is cool because some of my analytic overlay right off the bat was, and this is what some of it is waves, frequency, and sound waves. So I was picking up on some kind of music, basically. Okay, waves, frequency, sound waves. I was picking up on like I wrote, okay, this is some of the stuff I wrote down, like contestant, contest. I actually, so as I go over this data, I'm going to pull up some pictures of some of the things that I was seeing. Okay, because I actually have some things queued up right here for us, and it's kind of, some of the stuff's kind of weird, some of it's funny. We'll see. Y'all can decide. Let's see. Okay, so I was picking up on like a contest or a contestant, right? And I wrote down, I heard The Price is Right. Come on down. So I was like,
yeah, because they're trying to. That's right, because the song that'll make the most money, the songs that'll be the most popular, the songs that will perform the best. It is a literal competition. They have like battle of the bands and stuff like that in these programs.
Do they?
Yes, they literally have actual competitions where there are shows, where there are Illuminati people in the audience watching that decide what happens to you. And it's over messed up things like being able to spend time with your family and stuff like that. That's the prize. Like, it's sick. And I want these people to know, because I know they watch this stuff. You guys are sick.
Oh, man. Okay, the next thing that I wrote down, okay, what is that thing called that keeps the beats? Like, I wrote down Demeter. I don't know if that's what you call it or not, but I think that's what it was. It's something that's like tick, click, click, click. We used to use those like when I would sing and stuff, like with chorus or band. Okay, I wasn't in the band, but I sang for the band in my high school. And is it called the Demeter or something like that? Or there's a Demeter. I don't remember. Metronome. Maybe it's a metronome. Thank you.
Metronome. Yeah.
Thank you, New England Dirt Roadie. That's very nice of you. The metronome and Cryptidville. I wrote Demeter. I don't know what, maybe Demeter. I don't even know what Demeter means, y'all. Okay. So anyways, but I wrote that down. I actually picked up on a tropical location. Okay. That could be at the ocean. Maybe that's
Centurion 5.
It's what?
Centurion 5.
Centurion 5. Is that a tropical planet?
Yes.
No way.
It's connected to Montauk and vice versa. It's a separate operation, but with the way this works is they kind of have to know each other and make deals with each other to not and to an extent work with each other. But Centurion 5 is a Swedish thing, a cult called Ordo Templum Nephilim. It's an ancient cult. You think of the movie Midsummer. If anybody ever seen that, it's like that, but with time travel and blood rituals and I don't know if I can say this on YouTube. People doing stuff, rituals.
Oh yeah,
that makes any sense.
Okay, well, we'll use our imaginations for that one. Okay. Wow. How interesting is that? Okay. So I was definitely picking up on a tropical location.
Yeah. And so they must be connected, because I wanted to see where they were making, where they're uploading this from, or where they're doing this from. Maybe it's Centurion 5. Because, you can connect. These people have the technology to connect to the internet here from another planet and stuff like that. They totally have the ability to do that. So maybe they're somewhere on Earth that's just tropical, person doing this. But that's clearly not England, as the channel is claiming.
Oh, do you know what's weird though? I did pick up on Dover, and when I looked up Dover, it was either in Delaware or the UK.
Well, maybe this guy's
that is
this
literally
guy's
in
in
the
Dover.
data.
That should be pretty interesting.
That's literally in my data, Arkheim. Okay,
That's
y'all. Me and Arkheim have not gone over this data yet, y'all. Okay, I'm getting to it. Okay, give me one. Okay. So Area 51, thank you for those 2 super I said super
That's an
stickers.
awesome
Thank
name,
you.
by the way.
That is so cool. Thank you, Juan. I appreciate that. He gave 2 super stickers tonight. Thank you so much. It is very much appreciated. And thank you for being here. You're a great moderator. I appreciate you. Okay, so tropical location, and I wrote down the word sonic, and I was like a sonic flare, a sonic boom. I don't know. I was picking up on some kind of sonic, and I wrote down the word.
It's sonic.
It's what?
It's sonic. It's sound.
Sound. Okay.
Yeah.
A sonic boom. Okay. And
that's what sonic means, is sound.
Oh yeah. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so the data is clearly like some kind of waves, frequency, sound waves, things like that. So sonic. I wrote down reality, and then I wrote down fisheye lens. Remember, I told you I wrote down fisheye lens.
Yeah, very interesting.
And what I was seeing, this is what I was seeing. I was seeing in my mind's eye like that. Okay, first of all, it kind of looked like somebody like looking through a peephole. And when I looked through this peephole, I saw the scene of Johnny Depp in that movie, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. That is like a fisheye lens, okay, from that movie. And Donna, thank you so much for that super sticker, real quick. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You were so sweet. Okay, let me show you this picture. This is literally similar to what I saw, and I'm not gonna lie. It was like distorted, okay, and it was this right here. This is kind of what I saw.
Yeah, that's what it's like to be on Adrenochrome. Which all these musicians, most of them are, well, especially if you're involved in Centurion 5, you're on it. You know, they put you on it. When I was brought to Centurion initially, one of the times, there have been several, I never remember being there. It's like it's the first time for me every time. But one of the times I remember Dennis Pop gives me this powder, and he tells me that it connects my brain to the computer. And so I did it. And what I found out later on, it was a synthetic adrenochrome. And basically, they work your way up to the pure stuff. It makes you psychotic. It makes you a bad person, and it warms you up for their blood rituals, because you want to drink blood and stuff after you use the adrenochrome. So there's a reason why The Weeknd, "Blinding Lights," my song that I wrote, there's a reason why for the picture of it. There's blood in his teeth. He's got blood dripping out of his mouth. Why do you think that is?
Oh, that's just terrible. It's just terrible. But that is what I started seeing. And here's the picture that I drew. Okay, this is wild. This is my stage 3 drawing. It's like looking through a fisheye lens at two people. Okay, or 2 beings right there. It looks kind of creepy, right? But that's what I was seeing. It's like it was just a sketch of what I would like, a representation of what I was seeing right there. And it was 100% like Johnny Depp and that other guy from that Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas movie. Okay, so that's what I saw.
Yeah, I was actually writing. I actually posted a TikTok today. I was going hard on the TikTok today, and of course, I never use TikTok. The minute I do that, I get an account violation. They're telling me they want to delete my account.
Oh no. Oh, no.
But I posted about how they showed you in that movie, and they use it to control us in these programs. And when they give it to you at first, they don't tell you it comes from unaliving people and siphoning their blood from them. They don't tell you that. You find that out after you're already addicted to the stuff. Is that not messed up? That's fucked. Yeah. Sorry, there's no other word to use for it. It's sick.
It's very vampiric, you know. Just have to keep repeating that. It is. It totally is.
Stuff. What do you think it's based on? It's based on the people that do this stuff. Vampires are real.
Vampires are very real.
It makes them look younger. Think about all the celebrities that never age. That's not just plastic surgery.
That's right. That's right. Okay, well, let's go on to stage 4 of my remote viewing data. Okay, and if you'd like to see the raw data, y'all can go to my Patreon. Okay, so thank you very much to everybody who's a member over there. All right, so I heard a voice say, I heard somebody say, outside looking in. Outside looking in. And some of the things that I wrote down were like dark, acknowledged, enclosed, enveloped, confusion. Okay. All encompassing.
It sounds like they saw you come in and remote view it.
Probably. But here's where I landed. Okay, so I wrote down, so some of my like aesthetic impact data was like, that's like, where am I? Like, where, when I look around, like, what am I seeing? Right? What kind of environment am I in? And so I wrote down a room. I'm in a room. I'm in an establishment, a casino. I wrote down casino with a question mark. And then I wrote a conference center. So I was in like this huge room, and this is what I was seeing.
They had all that underneath Camp Hero at Camp Hero.
Okay, this is kind of what I was seeing. So I found like this casino, and remember, Arkheim, you and I was looking at the floor right there, and it had like star patterns on it. And I was thinking about that jump room and the 3-letter agencies that have that on the foyer.
They had a
nautical star.
They had a facility under there that you could visit, and dignitaries would come. And they had all sorts of wild stuff. They had a cryptid zoo. Where they're like they're stuffed. They weren't alive, but like where they had like all sorts of creatures from all sorts throughout time and space. Like, what do you call it? A museum, cryptid museum, because it wasn't a zoo because they weren't alive. A museum. Yeah, they had all sorts of wild stuff.
Similar to the Louvre. Remember, we did the last show we did. The last target you gave me was under the Louvre Museum.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably all gone now. I think they flooded it because too many people were finding out about it.
Oh, okay. Well, there was like some kind of like a cryptid zoo down there, I believe.
Not the Louvre, but Montauk. Sorry.
Okay, Montauk. Yeah, this is
still under the Louvre. The Louvre is definitely still there.
Okay. Oh, okay. I gotcha. I see what you're saying. Okay. So I was somewhere that was like wide open, like a big conference center. It was like it was a gathering ballroom or something. That's kind of what I was feeling like. And I wrote down casino or a conference center, something where people gather. Well, at that point, when I was there, I started. So what I started feeling was nauseated, dizzy, and foggy. I felt like I had been drugged. Okay. And so I wrote down drugs, a word that rhymes with Google Chrome that you had just mentioned. I try not to say that word too much because they'll get my, just because YouTube. But Google Chrome is what I'm gonna call it. And then underneath that, I wrote blood. I wrote blood as a tangible, blood, and then junkie. So a Google Chrome junkie and drugs. And I actually wrote down. I saw containers. I wrote containers and vials were there as well.
I tell you how grateful I am to not be addicted to that substance in this body in this lifetime. It's bad.
Is it? Man, I can't imagine. I can't imagine. Okay, so I picked up on that.
Listen to the Weeknd's music. He talks about it.
Well, you know what I find interesting.
And I wrote them about being, and this is gonna sound crazy, but the Weeknd is my great grandson. He was conceived by 2 warring nations in the secret space programs. That basically it was a scenario where, in order to create peace, the princess and the prince from 2 different kingdoms had a child and became king and queen to unite the kingdoms, and he was that child. Okay, so he bears a lot of weird guilt that he probably doesn't remember where it comes from. This version of him, and also pride in a way, because it was a peace. He was literally like a token of peace. This child being born by these warring factions, but a lot of people hated him for that, and it's a mixed bag. But that's the original version of him. Just like the original version of me was born to Karl Emmerman in the 50s in Munich, Germany. You know what I mean? Or even if that is, who knows if that even is the original version of me. That's as far back as I've been able to trace myself. Other than my like ancient lives as like an ET and stuff. My first human life.
Yeah. Man, this is just really wild stuff tonight, and really interesting. It's very deep.
He's a good guy.
And what's interesting to me is like I picked up on all of that, and then on my stage 2 data of this target. I was picking up on fear and loathing in Las Vegas, and then I'm picking up on like vials of the Google Chrome, and in the blood and the drugs and all that kind of stuff. So like it's like, wow, it came back up in the data again, which is really interesting. So the next things I wrote down. Do what?
It's very relevant.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hate that it is, but I'm glad that it's on target. Okay. So that whatever your experience is, this is, on target for that. That's a good thing. It sucks though. But some of my analytic overlay for that, after I wrote down the Google Chrome and everything, I wrote down animals, farm animals, fetus. I wrote down fetus, like a human embryo fetus. And then I also wrote, I was confused as to whether I was hearing feed us, feed, FEED us. Okay. And then I heard a voice say sorted out. So yeah. So animals, farm animals, fetus, and feed us. I wrote down. Okay. Then I saw a pyramid. Okay. I saw a triangular pyramid, and I wrote down as part of my dimensional data. So I saw a pyramid. I wrote that down, or something that was triangular. I just kept seeing a triangle. And then I felt like I had gone into a room. I was in an environment, because this is some of my aesthetic overlay again, or whatever, or impact. So I'm seeing a room. I'm in a room that is simplistic. This is some of the stuff I wrote down. Simplistic, simple, clean lines, modern look, aesthetic. Okay. And at that point, so like every time I'm in these rooms, I start feeling sick. So I started getting the data for like that big ballroom, and then I started getting sick.
There's probably a protocol that they have up to prevent
me from being there, probably. Yeah. Okay. So then I started getting chest pain, and my heart started hurting. Like my chest started hurting, like I was about to have a heart attack.
I don't mean to put you in danger doing this stuff. I didn't know that would happen.
Well, at that point, okay, so this is around that point, right before I started getting the chest pains, I wrote down the word rich. And I heard a voice say, "Oh, you rich. Oh, you rich." And that's in some songs and stuff. There's some song I'd heard, and I heard a quote from that song, "Oh, you rich." And that's when I wrote down Dover. Okay, this is a blind target, y'all. You had said something about maybe Great Britain or the UK, and I wrote down Dover, and I'm like, okay, well, the only Dover I know of.
The amount of money that's made through these time travel programs, using the music industry, is unfathomable. Like, it's an insane amount of money. Like, because they're not just releasing these songs on Earth. There are other colonies with humans on them where they release this music and they do the same thing, rinse, wash, and repeat. And they also make money on those worlds and colonies and things like that. So it's, yeah. Be very interesting if this guy uploading this stuff really is in Dover. That'd be nuts. Wouldn't be surprised. If it isn't just me, like you said.
Yeah. Well, okay, I know, right? That would be weird. That'd be crazy, right? Well, okay, so that is like the Dover Canal right there. Okay, right where that is, there's a place called Dover. It's right there in the south tip of the UK, right there, south of London, southeast of London, and it's right there. I think it's called the Dover Canal, if I'm not mistaken. But that is in Great Britain. That's in England. Okay, and so I just wanted to bring that up because those are the two Dovers I could find, and so anyway, so that's Dover. Okay, and so to my next page, this is actually the last page of data that I have. But it's some good data. And I have pictures to match. Okay, so the next page, I heard on the ground, and then I put on floor. On the ground and on the floor. So on the ground floor. Okay, what is the name of that YouTube channel again? Ground level. Weird stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I actually before the sensory data that I wrote for that before I wrote that was low grounded. And so I wrote on the ground. Oh no, this is what I wrote down: on the ground or floor, not the floor. I wrote on the ground, and then I wrote or on the floor, on the ground or floor, on the ground. Okay, and so then I went to another location. Okay, so like I was going into another place, and I saw what I was seeing was this. Okay, it was kind of like this. So I wrote down open, wide, vast, empty, and hollow. And I did a drawing that was a hallway, and I could hear echoes when I would talk. It's like I was talking, I could hear like echoes because there were no people in here. I wrote down hollow hallway, shallow, hollow, empty building, back rooms. Okay, so I was in the back rooms. Okay, so this is where I kind of went next. It was like the hallway, and then I was like, wait, I'm in the back rooms, and then I wrote down basement level. Okay, basement level, and then I wrote down simulation theory, simulation and simulation theory. And from that point on, I actually drew I want to show the audience what I drew. Okay, so like here's my drawing of like the hallway. If you guys can see that. And then underneath it, I drew like this grid. Okay, and I wrote simulation. And then this is kind of like what I was seeing was like a simulation right here with like those grid patterns everywhere, like the Matrix. Okay, and then I wrote down after that, I wrote down dark web, grid, and the grid. I wrote grid down. Okay, grid down. So anyways, that's the data. I ended it there because I was like, it was a lot. That was a lot for that target. But what do you think about all this, Arkheim? I mean, what are
the end was a little confusing, but like other than that, like a lot of it made sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with the Matrix part. I mean, we are on a computer, though these programs are aware of it. Maybe they hack reality and make portal rooms. Yeah, that would make sense. Like it's a portal room and it's like a back room, and like you use it to get from place to place, like in the Matrix back rooms. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe you can get to these recording studios and stuff on other worlds through a room like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But maybe this can answer some of your questions. You know, I mean, that's why we do these targets. We can give you a little bit more information. But I find it really interesting that you said that the guy said that he lived in, you know, the UK, and that Dover came up. It's the only town that's in my data. Okay, so it's just kind of weird. But
I mean, a lot of it really lines up. That's pretty.
Yeah.
You know.
You should ask him if he lives in Dover.
Yeah.
Oh man. Like, I'm not going to tell you how I know. But
I'm surprised he's not in the comments. I commented. I'm going to do this show today.
Oh, you did?
Hold on. Yeah.
Oh,
comments on his YouTube videos.
That's cool.
I remember these songs from Project Phoenix. I'm going to do a show where somebody remote viewed it. Check it out. Jessica Jones, Cryptid Huntress.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
You know, I do. If he exists or whatever, he's out there. If he could explain this to me, that would be kind of helpful. But I don't think he can. Because these are from the programs. I'm right.
Yeah, what if he's just an AI too? You know, could just be
AI.
Could just be AI.
Good point.
And it could just be AI to mess with you or something too.
It could be the Montauk AI.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it, because you're getting computer and you're getting like, dude, it's probably literally an AI uploading these songs. It has to be. That's what the data's saying.
Yep.
That's fucking nuts. Sorry, I've been swearing up. I've been vulgar. I'm sorry. I'll try to be a little better. Usually, I try to not say the Chrome word, and I try to be. I'm a little rusty. I haven't been doing this as often as I used to, so sorry about that.
Construct. Okay, Donna must be a remote viewer too. Okay, I like this. Thank you, Donna, for being here. Construct. Structure of timelines restricted. Not supposed to see. Yes, backrooms because not allowed to know. Okay, thank you. That's some stuff that she just channeled, some data she got too. Because construct was in my data actually. So very cool. I believe so. Or well, maybe it wasn't. Was it in my data? I don't even know.
You know, one thing I want to say is it's weird to see a song that was written by Janis Joplin as like this love song and have a guy, the description be, I wrote this on a cereal box and then forgot about it and then put it in AI because I was bored. That offends me. But I'm grateful if the music is there.
Yeah.
And it's given me memories and jogged my memory about stuff. And, you know, it's better than it just not being anywhere, I guess. But it's just weird because normally the music we wrote, I mean, Blinding Lights is the most streamed song in human history. It's the most listened to song in human. It's over 9 billion streams, I think. I did that. Like, that's crazy to me. When I found
That's
that out,
wild.
that messed me up for a second.
Oh,
Like,
that's wild.
I made that song, and it's the most popular song. That's nuts. Like, that's surreal to me. It's all surreal. It's all very surreal.
Well, I'm enjoying this target tonight. I think it's pretty interesting. It's I don't know.
It's
This is
fascinating. The data you
it is,
use
right?
is blowing my mind.
Yeah. It's wild. Well, it's definitely connected to you in your experience for sure. No matter what, this data is connected to you and your experience in these Montauk these programs. Okay. All right. Let's go to the second target. Okay, I've got about half the data for this one that I had for the first one.
So I'll tell you what the
And so,
target is. It
okay,
is I visualized, I was trying to put in the writing of this song called Circus Song,
okay,
which is on this page. And in another timeline, I remember being even to not Janice, Avril Lavigne. She had a music video for it where she like wore a little clown nose and was at a carnival and she was on the swings and doing all the stuff.
yeah,
She's
yeah,
also my daughter.
yeah,
She's my
and I don't.
biological daughter. And her parents are basically handlers. That would probably offend her if she heard me say that because she thinks that they supported her and helped her make her music career and all this stuff. But as far as I can tell from the outside looking in, they're just handlers. And she's definitely under MK Ultra. How heavily, I'm not sure. She seems happy. And she's killing it on tour right now. I know that. I'm very proud of her. But yeah, she's my daughter, and it's very painful. It's a very painful thing to know someone's your daughter and not. And she's older than me, by the way. Time travel is a mind blows your mind. It's screwy. But like, yeah, she's my daughter, and I can't be in her life, even though she's right there. That's kind of like a form of torture in a way. It's very, very psychologically damaging for me.
And I wanted to make a note that I had uploaded a lot of pictures, and I had this one left over from Monday. Actually, I kept it on here. I kept all my reptilian stuff and the human cloning pictures kind of up in case I wanted to reference them again tonight, even. And this was one that I kept in here, and I had no idea, Arkheim, that you were going to even bring her up. And before the show tonight, I said you mentioned Avril Lavigne, and I was like, wait a second, I have her picture uploaded, and I showed you, and it actually, I mean, it was emotional for you, and I'm sorry that was a little upsetting, but I think it's really fascinating that I just had that on cue to show tonight, and I had no idea.
Yeah, another fun one is Britney Spears is actually one of Elvis Presley's daughters, and you can actually
Oh my gosh!
whoa if you look at their faces. There's all sorts of other weird stuff like that going on. Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's fascinating. Fascinating stuff. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, her dad is just a handler. Everybody knows that.
I think that's how it is with most of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Seems like at least the big stars.
Poor Britney, man.
Yeah.
She has been through the ringer in these programs. They do not treat her good. I know her personally.
Well, there's a lot of we call them honeypots and stuff like that, and
yeah,
sex abuse, and they're used for that.
They use her for slavery of that purpose. You know, high-paying people can spend time with their clone and do whatever they want.
Yeah,
and,
we actually
that's an aspect of these of what they're doing to these celebrities. Like, they don't respect us. That's what people have to understand. All these celebrities that you see that have all this attention and they're famous, and they look at it as like this beautiful thing where they're corrupting humanity and themselves and destroying mankind. They love it. You know what I mean? That they're so full of themselves and they think they're so great, but they're really, to them, just toys. They treat us like a toy. You want to know something I remember?
Robots.
I remember James Rink and I standing in front of the Queen of England, and she would make us both dance. You know, James is a dancer. I can dance too. I'm not as fit as my Montauk version of me, so I'm not as good in here now. But that version of me could fucking dance because he was very fit. And she would make us dance until one of us would collapse from exhaustion.
Oh my gosh.
And then that person would be the person used in the sacrifice ritual that night.
Oh my gosh.
And then the next day you wake up in a new body and get to do it all over again.
Oh my gosh.
It's hell.
That is horrible. You know what? I was actually watching, there's like a famous celebrity psychic. She's got like short blonde hair. I don't know her name, but I follow her on social media. And she was talking, there was a short that I watched this morning. It was like Ariana Grande or something. And she was talking about how she was
Memory Stone Centers?
Yeah, no, she was talking about how she was born into these like families of like magicians or actors or secret societies. Let's just say secret societies. Okay. Shaluminati.
And then she also just was on the red carpet. If you're talking about Ariana.
Yes. Yeah, that too.
It's so weird. She's an MK Ultra asset hardcore, you know, kind of a handler for Mac Miller, and it wasn't good for him at all. And obviously, maybe could have led to his demise. I'm not going to claim one way or the other. But she on the carpet, the red carpet, talked about how she just had her memory erased.
She did.
It's like just like it was normal because she didn't understand. Yeah. It was weird what she was saying.
Yeah, well, this is even okay. So this is really weird too.
God, they're breaking right in front of us, dude.
They are glitching out. Okay, Sloan Bella, that's her. Thank you so much, Angelique. Yeah, Sloan Bella, that's her name. That's the psychic that I was referring to, and she was talking about how some
tell me she got great information. I got to look into her stuff more.
She does. Okay, so she was talking about Ariana. And she said, well, you know, she's born that they're in like a soul trap or something like that. Like this is what like a soul trap is, like where they're born over and over again into these elite families and they're just used over and over again. I was thinking like, well,
signed the contract.
They signed the contract. That's right.
Yeah. So
that's what she was saying.
Sign your soul over to the devil or whatever it is. People understand your soul. Your body dies. Your soul's still there. So people have this concept like, oh, my whole life. It's like, no, that's not the, you know, they'll give you fame and fortune for a good until you're 27 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then when they get rid of you, like all these people are still alive in some capacity. Every single one of them. Mac Miller, Janis Joplin. I mean, out there in the breakaway colonies, to some extent, they're somewhere out there doing stuff. These people are all assets with abilities that are very valuable to the Time Corporations. They didn't just write songs. The reason why Janis Joplin was so valuable to them is because she was a traveling. It's some people don't like the term, but I just don't know what else to say. I'm not trying to be mean or derogatory, but gypsy. She was a traveling gypsy, and she, you know, like in the wagon with the potions. They show up with potions. A gypsy or do palm readings, sing songs. That was a thing, and she would do that. And Mac Miller was her husband, but his name was Bobby McGee, and she had abilities. She would go and predict the future for people. You could pay her money, and she would be able to tell you things about your future and all this stuff. So they took her for the programs because of her abilities. She was famous. So that timeline got edited out, and now in this timeline, she was born later, and she's you know, part of the music scene instead of being a wandering. There's got to be a different term for it. I know some people don't like the term, but I'm just gonna say it. Gypsy.
Yeah.
I don't see it as a traveling lady. I'm not trying to use it derogatory. Some people do. It's the problem.
Some people do. You know, it's okay. It's all good. And wow, yes. Can you imagine? Okay, don't ever sign your name in blood on the dotted line, y'all. Don't do it. Okay.
And it's literally in blood, by the way. You cut your wrists and you sign in blood.
Ugh.
Yes.
Oh man.
You don't have to write your name. All you have to do is smear the blood on there.
Just had to put a little thumbprint on there or something with some blood. Yeah. That is crazy. That's crazy. Everything is all about the blood. God, blood comes up every show.
Blood is it's their life force.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a reason. And the loosh, when people talk about loosh, how much loosh do you think is in there? Like, it's the most pure form of it you could possibly get.
Oof. Yeah. We talk about loosh like every show too. I mean, it comes up. It's with the cryptids, it's with the elite, it's with the clones, it's with everything, y'all. Okay,
yeah, man.
so
I go deep. I've seen it all, you guys.
Yeah. Yes. Well, we just bring it full circle when you come on, Arkheim. Okay. We bring it full circle. This is stuff we talk about. And then we got like firsthand knowledge right here with you tonight. So I love it. And let's get to this last target. Okay. Because to me, I don't know if any of this makes any sense, any of this data, but you can make some sense of it potentially. And so let's just get into it. Okay. Let me go over some of the sensory data for this. Now, this is that one. It was kind of that one song, right? Is that what we're kind of diving into?
Yeah, it was just the one song because I had such specific memories of it, like a music video and everything. So I thought it'd be good to just pick one song, and it would make the target not so wide. You know what I mean? To just one song. So I thought that might help you narrow in. And like I said, I was picturing like I guess like whatever the songwriting process, how it would work, whether it was in a computer or in real life, which I know was in real life, but that's what I put in the target.
Okay, wonderful. All right. Well, this if that's just like a regular fella that's got a YouTube channel that's making AI songs, then man, we are really dissecting that channel tonight. But that's all good. It's all good. But I think it goes deeper because this data is pretty deep. Okay. Yeah. This data is really deep. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so let's just go through some of the sensory data for this.
Oh, another weird thing I'll say too.
Okay.
People from his channel have come over to my channel, see my posts, and just been. One of them were like, "Hey, thanks for writing the songs."
Oh, really?
They're literally just like, "Oh, okay, thank you." It was kind of funny. Wild. So, yeah, I don't know, and some of them might be AI too. I'm not sure. It's really hard to tell. Yeah. It's so weird to live in a world where you could be talking to someone on the internet and it's not even a person, right? Is that not weird?
It's okay. AI is weird to me. All of it. It's, I was kind of against like going into AI to like do my thumbnails for my shows, and then I started doing it. And here's some things that I noticed before we get into this target. Here's some things I've noticed about AI. It's bland. Okay, it's not colorful and beautiful to me. I mean, it can be if you type it in. Okay, but like my thumbnails went from being vibrant and colorful and pretty because I was like doing them myself, and like copying and pasting and cutting things out and making my thumbnails. And then I started using AI and it was all drab. It was like,
well, they're already showing, as I said, I've been warning people about it because I saw the future.
Yeah.
ChatGPT is already reducing the cognitive capacity of all the people who are using it to basically do everything for them. It's making people stupid. And that's why AI is dangerous. Not because AI wants to do a Terminator thing. I mean, there are scenarios like that, but it's more dangerous because we just give ourselves to it until we're not us anymore. That's what the song The Sound of Silence by Simon Garfunkel is about, which was written by Sergeant Gunnery Stan Mulgrave, who was a Montauk Time soldier who's no longer with us in any capacity that we're aware of. Mm-hmm. There's multiple people who remember him in the programs, but nobody's ever encountered him in the real world.
Oh my gosh. Yes. You know what? Actually, Moondog, I was going to put this on here. Moondog, I was thinking the same thing. I was actually, so I was talking about Donald Marshall on Monday, and I was like, God, that sounds like Arkheim to me.
We have talked a little bit, and I wanted to
really,
I wanted to have a conversation with him, but we got in an argument.
Oh, did you?
Because
is he still alive today?
He said he said he didn't really want to do any interviews or anything like that. I told him, like, you're not the only person suffering, and you need to collaborate with other people instead of just being in your own corner on the internet like you have been for the past decade. You used to do internet interviews and stuff that was good. You should do that. And I told him, like, I was kind of mean, but I said, you complain a lot about all the stuff they do to you, buddy. It's time to be a warrior and fight back. But we got into an argument because of, it's a passionate subject. We're getting tortured by psychopaths. All right. Both of us.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? I couldn't sleep after I read his stuff. I couldn't sleep that night. On Sunday night, I could not sleep because I was reading his testimonies and stuff. And then I know I had some people in the chat were like, oh, he was just, he was trying to stir the pot. And some people like say, and I don't know his whole story.
Not all of his information resonates with me, but I think it's one of those things where, I mean, some of it's too familiar for it to not be real to me. But he also says he wrote every NSYNC song and Backstreet Boys song, and I wrote a lot of those songs. And other people. It wasn't just one person. But I wrote like as long as you love me, which if you look at the lyrics to that song, it doesn't make sense unless you're a time traveler. Hear me out.
Okay.
It doesn't matter who you are, what, where you're from, huh? What you do, as long as you love me. Okay, isn't that all the things that you love a person for? Now think about it in the context of a Montauk Time Soldier. They put us in all these different lives with different names, different identities, different occupations. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what you do. Think about it. I wrote that as a time soldier for my wife Evelyn. Like, I remember it. That's my song. He didn't write that song. So that's another reason why we kind of don't get along, is because we don't agree on each other's testimony. But I don't try to throw him under the bus and say he's just a liar, because the human cloning thing is real, and them using it for like their own sick entertainment is real.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine that at least 90% or 80% or something of what he's saying is accurate. I don't know if he's exaggerating it, or because he probably, maybe he writes songs and just like I do, and he just kind of exaggerated it. And from his memories, maybe they're hazy, and maybe he thinks that. Maybe he thinks it's true. But I know. Like, I remember meeting Britney Spears. They called me the little boy who sings. My name was Jacob, but they called me the little boy who sings. And every time she would meet me, I didn't remember her. Because after I worked on the song, they would do a ritual and unalive me. And then I'd wake up in a new body the next day. And I wouldn't remember the day before, which they're very entertained by. These guys are sick.
Mm-hmm.
And she was confused by that. At first, she thought I was joking with her. Then she realized that I actually was being honest, and I didn't remember who she was every single time that I saw her. And that freaked her out. And that was just one of the things that was the beginning of her realizing how dangerous of a situation she was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was part of what I was reading from Donald Marshall was. And by the way, I'd like to get Donald Marshall on my show one day. That'd be a cool interview too.
He's not doing interviews, and that's kind of what I told him. I was like, dude, you have your Instagram. That's cool. You post your Instagram, but you need to go on people's shows and show your face again. It will help a lot of people understand this stuff. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, I don't need to. And we got in an argument.
Well, you know what? You're a voice.
To be fair, it's his right
to
be private. But I just think that the time is now to strike while the iron's hot. People want this information. Mm-hmm. I mean, I go on TikTok and people are talking about all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's literally the reason I posted all this stuff to TikTok today. And the reason why is because I saw people posting about Astroworld and The Weeknd. And they're like, these guys are in a cult. I'm like, yeah, here they are. Yeah. I can tell you all about it, actually.
It's rituals.
It's called Ordo Tempelum Nephilim. That's the name of the cult. It has a name.
Wow. Well, yeah, some of the stuff that was keeping me up, just stuff that like I'm not letting my mind even go there with like what really happens to the clones, like yourself, like when you change bodies and they put the consciousness in a different body, and how they clone children. Yeah. It's dark.
Remember when we did the, what do they call Blemmies?
The Blemmies, yes.
And that guy, Professor Moriarty.
Yes.
That's scary. That's very Donald Marshall. Like, that guy's scary. Waking up in that Colorado cloning facility is fucking scary. Like, it's terrifying.
I couldn't even imagine. It's and part of what I recall from that Donald Marshall stuff I read was like the celebrities, once they find out, just like what you said with Britney, it's like as soon as they find out what they're really doing with these clones, they don't want to be a part of it anymore. But then by then it's too late, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of too late.
And I, as far as I can tell, she was born at Montauk, and there was no way that this was never going to happen to her. She was conceived and born during Project Phoenix 2, and her whole entire life is just artificial, just like mine and every other Montauk Time Soldier that you've ever met in the here and now. This isn't our original lives. Every single Montauk Time Soldier that you've ever met, our lives are artificial and were made by the programs. They put us in people's wombs and did all sorts of crazy stuff. My parents aren't even my biological parents. Like, it gets crazy.
Yes, that's a good question from Andrew. Arkheim, would the clone perform up to the standards of the real artist?
They are the real artists.
There's no difference.
A body is just a body, people. That's what you need to understand. Like, it's just a vehicle. It's like a car. You know what I mean? Like, maybe they'll sing better because it's a new car. It's a new vehicle. They might even sing better, bud. That's actually probably the best answer I could give you. They might sing better because it's a fresh body. As long as they, you kind of, once you're in a new body, you kind of got to get your bearings, at first. But once you have your bearings, yeah, man, you're in a fresh skin suit. You're gonna belt it out, man. You're going to sing great. Your vocal cords haven't even been used yet. You know what I mean? So you're going to sound awesome as long as you know how to use them.
Oh my gosh. M13, that's right. Why am I so attracted to this material? Because it's real life, okay?
And many people are in the programs.
Yeah.
Think about it. If you can just clone people and use them for free labor and not pay them, why would they, I'm valuable to them, especially because I have abilities like opening portals and predicting the future and psychic. I am psychic and stuff. But it doesn't take a psychic to mine a asteroid for lithium or something like that. So one of the things I want average people to understand, or more, I guess, down to earth people, is that they could be in these programs. They could. Yeah. There's no reason to believe you're not in these programs. I mean, there's no reason to believe you are if you have no evidence. Don't freak out or anything. But there's lots of people in these programs, like tens of thousands at least. Mm-hmm. And in fact, the quote that I've heard from several different whistleblowers is that the United States alone has to give the German military 10,000 children every year because of the treaty that they signed with them after World War II. So there's things going on behind the scenes that we don't understand. We didn't really win that war. We signed a treaty where both parties left satisfied enough to stop bombing the hell out of each other. But we didn't win that war. Like, it's more complicated than what the history books tell us. The Holocaust happened. It was a bad time. A lot of evil things happened. Like, I'm not saying that stuff didn't happen, and that bothers me when people said it didn't happen, because it was a very dark period of history that we need to recognize and learn from and move on from. But yeah,
this is for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah.
Again. Okay.
Hypothetical.
We're just thinking out loud. And so thank you for that, Arkheim. It's a lot to think about tonight, a lot to ponder on that. And Noe wants to know, are you a clone? Are you a clone?
Technically, yes.
Yeah.
Because I was put into my mother's body, and this isn't my original body. So yes, I'm a clone.
Yeah. A lot of people that I know believe they are clones, and I believe them too. Like Daryl James had mentioned that he was a clone. James Rink, I believe, said that he was a clone.
Yeah. I've seen that guy's body get swapped out like it.
Yes.
When I first met him, he looked.
I've been told that too with James.
Yeah. When I first met him, he looked totally different.
He looked totally different.
Yeah. I don't know how to explain. He just looks more clone-like. He doesn't look bad or anything, but you can just tell. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to talk bad. He looks fine.
We love you, James. If you're listening,
you can just tell, and he knows too. He knows this stuff's going on. He's totally aware.
Mm-hmm.
Like he when we're on the Montauk trip, he'd like have like weird marks appear out of nowhere, and all this weird stuff happened to him. And he'd tell us about it. He's aware that there's obviously he's the guy who started Super Soldier Talk. He's self-aware. He knows what's going on, at least to an extent. Just like I do.
Well, y'all, it's hard for the average person to wrap their brain around, y'all. I know. But if you watch my channel, we talk about it all the time. There are people walking among us that are not, they're clones. There's reptilians, there's werewolves, there's all sorts of interesting aliens, extraterrestrials, ultra-terrestrials. This world is not what we've been told, okay, at all.
And with the shape-shifting thing, I want to explain something to people. Since we're in like kind of like a simulation or whatever, which take me with a grain of salt, you don't have to believe it, but just hear me out. It's like you said, for entertainment purposes only, right? Since we're in a simulation, when you're powerful enough, when your consciousness is powerful enough, you can just make yourself appear how you want to appear. So a lot of times that's what shapeshifters are doing. They're just making you see them as what they want you to see them as by using their consciousness to project that will onto the universe. And you have to have a pretty strong conscious will in order to be able to do it. But sometimes that's what it is when they shapeshift. And it's just like a lot of different things. There's different models of it. There's also like literal. I've heard some people. Audrey Walters told me about it. There's shape shifting where they actually like physically shapeshift, and it's like painful for them and stuff. Where the technology assists and stuff like in it. That's real too. But I don't know. I just figured that I'll explain that because people talk about it and they're like, "How? How does that work? Shape shifting?" Well, think about it. If reality is like how we perceive it, because it's a hologram or whatever, which science has been showing us. Well, what if you just project your will so powerfully that you are the thing that you think you are? I think that's what they're doing for entertainment purposes only.
For
I'm sure a lot of
entertainment
people in the
purposes
channel probably
only.
think that makes sense too, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I did a whole show. Barry came on the show last week. By the way, happy birthday, Barry Littleton. It's his birthday today.
His birthday today. Oh, happy
it's
birthday,
his birthday.
Barry.
He's at his private club having a drink tonight with his buddies, I think. So, shout out to Barry Littleton and his birthday. But he came on the show and we talked about we're talking about alien, like extraterrestrial, like advanced nanotechnology of like masking and stuff, like that liquid crystal masks and things. So it's not like they're not actually shape shifting. They're projecting like holograms over their faces and stuff. And I don't know.
Ships have that too, where they have screens on them where, they can park in front of a cloud and then just fill out the rest of the image and you can't tell they're there. And there's very advanced camouflage that exists. And excuse me, the Far Side Institute showed this, that there's ships everywhere. You can point, if you have a nice enough camera, and check out the Far Side. Is a little. If you look on the YouTube, they actually have like a tutorial. You can point your camera at the sky. You have to have a certain kind that gets a certain amount of frames per second because of how fast they move. They move ridiculously fast. But if you point your camera at the sky, basically anywhere in the world, and just leave it there for a while, and then slow down the footage. And you have to use some like infrared stuff too, because they use cloaking, so it has to be infrared as well. I forget what all the specifications are, but there's a video and it's linked in the description and stuff. And anybody can just point a camera at the sky and film spaceships, and they've got videos on their Instagram, on their YouTube. It's like, who the heck are all these people saying there's no evidence? Like, how far can you bury your head in the sand? Seriously. You know what I mean? Like, you literally can just film the sky and see them. I think you froze, Jessica. This is weird. It's kind of creepy. You're just like frozen. I've never had this happen to me before. Whoa.
Okay.
You good?
Hey, sorry. That happened the last show too. That's weird. My computer just shut down.
Oh,
for no reason. It did that yesterday as well. That's really odd.
Targeting the show.
Can you hear me? You guys can hear me, right? Okay. This is a new computer.
Work that way. I think these people would know that the show keeps going.
I've got this open on multiple computers.
Yeah.
Because of this, because it happened yesterday too. That is weird. Yesterday I just froze. It looked like I was hypnotized.
That's what happened here, and I was like, "Oh, this is kind of creepy."
Yeah. It's I don't know what's going on here. That's the second time that happened. So we might as well get to the second target before we get,
We haven't even gotten to the second target. Holy
no, we haven't. This is weird because I was actually picking up, because this is that one song, right? What's behind that song? And I was getting like Mad Max vibe for this one. Like, it's weird. But anyways, let's just go down. I'll just go down some of the sensory data. The big part of this target right here was a never-ending infinity symbol. And we were just talking about like that soul cycle, right? Like the soul trap.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is actually reminding me of that. Okay. Was a soul trap. It's like something just moving. It's constantly moving, because I was drawing like arrows and stuff. Here, I'll show you the picture that I drew. That's the picture I drew. It was an infinity symbol, and it was just like in constant motion. Okay. And but this data is all over the place, by the way. Okay. I'll go over the sensory data. Moving, wet, solid, tubular, faded, fantastic, tired, living, focused, and spinning. Okay. That was some of my sensory data. This is some of the analytic overlay that I wrote down. Okay. State of mind was the first thing I wrote down. Sorry, there's a gnat in my face. Sorry, y'all. State of mind, screenshot, shots, indigenous. I wrote gauntlet, and I was picking up on something that was spinning like a cyclone. Okay, like a cyclone, cyclical is what I wrote down. So something that's in cycles. And that's when I started writing that infinity
maybe like
symbol.
circus rides, maybe because they do
cyclical. Well, like just something something that's spinning. It could be anything. I mean, it could be CERN or something. I don't know.
In the music video over on one of those swings that spin around. You know what I'm talking about? With the chains on them that they have at amusement parks. I don't know if that's where that's coming from, the data. In fact, it very well might not be the reason why you saw that, but
could be
trying to make sense of it.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so but okay, something that was cyclical. Okay, so something that was spinning, and it was like an infinity symbol. And then I wrote down, yes, this is the word right there. This is what I'm saying. In case people don't, I got a Southern accent. Y'all may not know what I'm saying. So cyclical, and then I wrote break the cycle. Okay, that was a big part of this data. Was like somebody who was here to break a cycle.
That's me.
Yeah, breaking the cycle. Because something is, it's spinning.
Want to know something interesting about me?
Yes.
I never signed any contracts. My soul doesn't belong to anybody.
Okay.
Like, as far as I know, I've never signed my soul over to these people. They're using me against my will. So that's the difference between me and a lot of these other people, and that's why I don't have fame and fortune in this life. It's because I never signed shit. I know too much. I've seen too much to get tricked into that.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. Okay. Well, you're here to break the cycle, and that's definitely in the data a little bit more. And I swear I've got a gnat in my face, and it's because I got all these lights in my face. Okay. So I wrote break the cycle and wrap it up. Those are two things that were in my analytic overlay that I was hearing. I actually wrote down Kali Yuga and the end times as well.
I hope we're not in the end times. You know, I kind of think that that's just like a program to make people afraid. Like, we're not in the end of the world.
Yeah.
Wars.
Well, maybe we're at the end of a cycle.
Earthquakes might happen. Terrible things have always happened. You know what else has always happened? Great stuff.
Good stuff happens too. That's right.
It's the world.
That's right.
So yeah, I don't think the world's ending. I think it's just changing a lot really fast, and it's scary. But I don't think the world's actually going to end. But that's interesting that you say it, because, you know, people have been talking about maybe a reset happening soon and stuff like that. I don't know, but I'm not sure where that's coming from, to be honest with you. It might have to do with putting out the music before the end or something. I don't know.
I don't know. Okay, I know y'all can't see that gnat, but I swear there's a gnat there. I promise. Okay. Okay, so the Kali Yuga though. Okay, so I just think this is it's the end of a cycle. Okay, and the age of Aquarius is here. Okay, so but I wrote down end times, and then I heard fall on hard times, curse breaker, and cycle breaker. That was all in this data. Okay, and that's when I had drawn the infinity symbol before all that, like something that was just constantly moving in cycles. Okay, so let's go to the next page. I just have a little bit of data. It's only 2 pages. Okay, so I picked up on, this is wild because I picked up on like breathing and coughing and air, and I was picking up on toxic air and apocalypse vibes. And I wrote down apocalypse vibes and Mad Max.
It could be written, the song was written in a reality like that. Because I don't remember who wrote this song. I just remember that Avril sung it. So it could be that it came from a reality that's like that.
It could
the lyrics
be.
are kind of about living in chaos and stuff. So
okay, well maybe like the end times or something, and it's the apocalypse. Oh, here's the infinity symbol right here. I just figured I'd throw that up there so y'all could see it. Okay. But I was picking up on like dirt and dirt clouds, and I wrote down, this is funny because I was joking around with somebody the other day, and I was like, they're talking about it being the end of the world. I was like, well, don't worry, I'm going to be the warlord of my county or my community or something. I was kidding, right? I was kidding. I mean, maybe, am I kidding? I don't know.
I bet you guys are more ready than most people.
We're ready. I live in Georgia. We ready for anything. But I wrote down warlords, soldiers, and thugs. That's what I wrote down. And then I was picking up on like Lord of the Flies. Have you ever seen that movie? I think it's like a bunch of little boys like go on some, I don't know, on an island, and they get all savage, and They have to they become little warlords, basically. Yeah, little savage kids, like tribal mindset.
All I can
Apocalyptic.
think of is that kind of reality is where this song was written, maybe. Because the song isn't about that. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, that's what I wrote down. I know it's just data, okay, but that's what I wrote down, and I heard to each his own, and then I picked up on like a desert environment. Like I felt like I was out in the desert, and I wrote barren and dry, and then I heard full. I wrote down full price, full send, full price, full send, and then I ended it because I was like, this is a weird target too, but hey, so it was kind of all over the place, but I was definitely getting some kind of apocalyptic end of the world type of stuff, or like having to start over from scratch kind of a vibe, and going back to Mad Max days or something, but like in the future. That's kind of like what I was picking up on.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
So anyways, there was so much stuff that aligned with it. That was a little.
I know, right?
But
yeah, the first target was on target. The second target, I don't know. It's all for interpretation.
I mean, if we knew more about where this song was written, who wrote it, like if I had more background information, maybe it would make all the sense in the world. That's the thing about these targets is that's part of the reason why I want to do this show with you is because I actually know very little about a lot of this. Like, what is going on here with this guy uploading these songs? Where do all these songs come from? Like, for instance, like I said, I remember seeing the music video for this song, and I know it's got to be from the programs, but I don't know where or when or who wrote it. So it could have been written in some apocalyptic Mad Max reality. Like then that would have showed up in the target. It's very well why that could very well be the case.
Oh my gosh. Do you remember that one target we did? It was like that planet, and it was a desert planet. What was that? Yeah, what was it? Angua. Yeah. You had me remote view that, and that was pretty fantastic. That's another show that we just did a few months ago.
That was one of the best shows I've ever done.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to make a playlist tonight after the show. I'm going to do a playlist of all of Arkheim's targets, y'all. Okay. We're just going to have an Arkheim playlist with all these amazing targets that you've given me, because they're just amazing. A lot of this is really cool. And I love how it kind of like brings a lot of the stuff that I've been talking about full circle. I've really been focusing on cloning lately, even the reptilian stuff, like the technology used to, I want to say shapeshift, but technically it's not really shapeshifting, but it kind of is, because it's holographic, and it's just technology that we don't understand is what it is. It's how they're able to disguise themselves and whatever.
Yeah, think about like it's kind of simple to like. If you showed a person from the 1800s a television, that'll blow their mind. They would have no idea how that works. It wouldn't make any sense to them. Well, let's apply that same metric to advanced technologies that don't exist in our time. It's the same thing. It seems like magic. It seems crazy. It seems impossible. But so did a lot of things. A lot of people didn't believe that airplanes would ever be a thing. We wouldn't have, you know what I mean? We would never go to the moon, and all these things seemed like pie in the sky craziness. But here we are. So it's like, people just got to remember that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Here we are right now. And we're trying to bring things full circle a little bit with all this information. And there's just so much to ponder at this point. There really is. And I think it's interesting. I've never gotten a target where I felt like I was in the back rooms before. That's scary.
Yeah, that's weird. I think that's a computer.
It is. And I wrote down simulation right after that. So
yeah, it's probably an AI uploading these songs. Maybe
I think so.
AI that's based in what was it? Don that place
Dover.
Okay.
Just remember, I used to joke with my son, because my son's name's Ben, and it's like Ben Dover. It's like a little joke I'd say to him, or just kidding. But anyways, yeah, it's one of those dad jokes, even though I'm not a dad, but a mom joke.
Well, it's been a great show with you.
It has. Thank you, Arkheim. this has been really fantastic. So thank you so much for giving me this target tonight, these 2 targets tonight. And I hope that it answers some of your questions. And sometimes I feel like we get more questions than answers with some of these, you know what I mean? But
That's
this
the
one,
nature of disclosure at this
it
current
is.
point. This is why we want the big guns to come out and these agencies and these people to come out public. And they're kind of on their own volition, is because we can't do all the work. We can't present all the information. They have to help. And it's in all of humanity's favor for this information to come out. It should not be hidden anymore. It's causing way more damage than good. And yeah, I guess it's a good note to end the show on.
It is. Well, one last thing. Somebody had just left a comment about dragons. What are your thoughts on dragons?
They're real. They can open portals. The Draco worship them. They are the highest caste of their society. They are very much so mystical beings. They're very intelligent. They live thousands of years. They're just incredible. And I know some dragons. I've met dragons. I know a dragon named Barthus. My cat is usually a dragon, a black cat.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, so I'm very familiar with dragons. They got a lot in common with phoenixes. They're basically the phoenix is kind of like the bird version of a dragon, and a dragon is the reptile version of a phoenix.
Yeah.
You know, they've got a lot in common. But yeah, they're profoundly amazing creatures that there's to kind of explain how beautiful and majestic they are. There's no words you can use to describe it, or there's a reason why the Draco worship them. They're incredible, but they're also scary. All those stories of hunting down dragons and stuff like that, they're real. They're real, 100% real. We got rid of them because we got tired of dealing with them. We got tired of them coming to villages and eating people and stuff. You know, for real. Same thing with the giants.
Yeah.
We're
Well, you know,
despite the fact that we might not be the size 2 stories tall, humans are resourceful, and if we have a threat, we will work very hard to eliminate that threat. And we've done that many times throughout history. That's why a lot of cryptids and stuff like that don't exist. It's because we made them completely extinct because we thought they were a threat to us. Look into even like the giant spiders. One that's really simple. There are these giant spiders that existed in Africa. They say they're this big, and people talk about them, and there's a few pictures of them. It's not that crazy, and they definitely existed. They're definitely real. You want to they hunted them out of extinction. We just do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like not that wild to think about, you know, or believe in.
Well, there's actually even that when you're looking into like the ant people, they say that like the ant people had to go underground because like it's almost like a dragon came down from the sky and like burned everything. I mean, there's actually
actually this area over here by Mount St. Adams, where I'm living here on the West Coast. That whole area used to be occupied by ant people.
Really?
And humans basically were like, hey, we want to build some roads through here and some other things. And they're like, no, this is our property. And they're like, yeah, but we're tired of having to go all the way around to get to the other end where our property is. They're like, we deal with it. We don't care. And it caused a war. And we unalived many of them. And they decided, whatever, we'll just go underground. That's what a lot of civilizations do. It's chaotic up here. So they're like, whatever, we'll just go down there. It's better down there.
Yeah, it's safer down there, apparently. I don't know. That's where all the reptilians are.
Mars, too. They're very much so a part of the history of Mars and the culture of Mars.
Yeah.
And Angua as well. They were on Angua, too.
Man. Well, there's a petrified dragon in Alabama, y'all. I've seen it. Okay.
Yeah,
I do believe it's there. I do. I got the picture. I need to make t-shirts. That's what I need to do because I love my Alabama dragon. But they were here. So thank you for that. I mean, I just love dragons. And thank you. Somebody put that in the chat.
Well, another cool thing about dragons is people, it's hard for people to open a portal. Like if I want to get to a alternate reality that's very much so different, meaning far away from our reality, that's like it's not even 1138 anymore. Let's say it's 1150. That's many realities away. That would be very hard for me to do. It takes a tremendous amount of energy. A dragon can just do that. They can punch through realities and go so far They can go like wherever they want throughout all of time and space. Imagine how incredible that is. To be a dragon must be freaking amazing.
Oh, man. Do you remember on Halloween? I think you came on the show with me, right? And I had the dragon on my shoulder. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I dressed up.
Yeah. You know, they've definitely it's like people. Some of them are bad. There's ones that have been pretty evil, but they're very magnificent creatures, and there are some of them that are kind. And I remember working with some dragons on time missions. They were trying to protect mankind and protect humanity. Like Barthas in particular, he was a black dragon, and he was trying to help and protect mankind. He was a good being.
Yeah, they say the dragons have been laying dormant, and their dragon eggs. Like, I don't know if this is real or not, but I saw some video. It looked like big old eggs around this volcano off the coast where you live. Over on that side, the Pacific Northwest, they were like, it was heating up. There's like news reports that like, oh, this volcano may erupt in the ocean.
Something
And it looked
crazy
like dragon
about to
eggs down
happen.
there. Yeah, maybe.
Like there might be an earthquake here, and there might be a volcano. All of the doomsday signs are coming. Fish that wash ashore only when like earthquakes or like volcanoes happen are washing ashore. Like, yeah, something's probably about to happen here, unfortunately.
Yeah,
What am
I
I
hope
supposed to
not.
move? I don't know. I'm already out here.
Maybe the little volcano over there is just warming up the dragon eggs so the dragons can be hatched, and they're gonna come and help us. Okay, they're gonna come. They're gonna come save the world. Maybe, I don't know. We gotta start thinking about the good side of everything, y'all, not the
There's
doomsday
got to be.
side.
That's the thing too. Is like people. I've had people get mad at me because look, I've been very clear. I'm talking about fellow time soldiers. I've been very clear about how I've been done evil stuff, but they get mad at me because I talk about the good stuff I've done. Well, suck it up. I have done good stuff. You want to just believe there's no hope and no. You don't believe that we never fight back. You don't think that's ever happened? That nobody in these programs has ever stood up against their captors and fought back? How do you think Project Phoenix 2 got rid of Preston Nichols and Jack Pruitt and all those guys to begin with? We fought back. So to sit from the people that go out there and say that we've only done bad and there's not a shred of goodness and we just need to just hate ourselves because we're evil. I'm not going to do that. I refuse to do that. Yes, I feel bad about a lot of things I do, but I refuse to give up hope and believe that I've never done anything good. I know there are many versions of me that have fought back and continue to fight back. I know that Edward works for positive factions. He's not working for negative factions. He's working for overall, they might not be perfect, but overall good factions. So, like, you know, this whole idea that if you're in the secret space programs, you've only done evil things, and there's only evil factions, and there aren't any groups out there that have humanity's best interests in mind and want the higher good. That's silly. That's stupid. It's self-defeatist, and nobody needs to think that way. It doesn't help anything. It doesn't help anyone, and it's false. It's not reality. So, you know, there's no reason to be self-defeatist and just give up and act like none of us are doing good. We are. We're here to do good. I don't think it's a coincidence that there are a ton of Montauk time soldiers, some of them that were in the chat here, like Eric
Yeah,
and Veronica. I don't
yeah.
think we're here for no reason. We all know these lives are more or less artificial, and we seem to have been placed here. I think we're here to do something, and from what I can see, judging with the information that Veronica, Aaron, and I are all putting out, we're obviously trying to put out good information and help people. It doesn't seem like an evil mission to me. So I'm being realistic here. There is hope. There are good people. We don't just live in a universe where everyone's evil. In fact, that's the reason why they hide stuff. They gotta hide and be cowards because most people are good and stand up for what's right. And you can't stand up against tyranny and people being evil when you don't even know they exist. You know what I mean? So that's why they conduct themselves in this way. And all it takes is people like us using our platforms, screaming to the stars, screaming to the top of the mountain so people hear us, so that they understand that this is real, and humanity will adjust itself accordingly. We really will. We really can do that. I do believe that. There are times where I don't have much hope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of hope lately with a lot of things that have happened. Humanity is not so bad. We have problems. We need to learn how to get along, and there's a lot of things that things aren't looking so good right now. But I have hope. I have hope.
I just try to always see the good in things, you know. Try to, and that's why I come on here. I try to, even when I get a bump on my noggin and I don't feel so great, I still show up, and I'm still having fun, y'all. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what happens. Nothing can stop me. Okay, and you either, Arkheim, and I'm super 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 happy that you came on the show tonight, and I want you to please come back. Let's do some more targets. I know you got some other good ones.
Like I said, some other
Yeah.
very unique ones that will help paint a picture and illustrate some inner workings of the secret space program that actually have like weird evidence behind them too, like that aren't remote viewing, so we can put them together and see what we get. So we're gonna have some interesting shows in the future here.
Oh yeah, we've got some good shows coming up, y'all. And I have not gotten any targets yet, but when I get some targets from Arkheim, I can guarantee you we'll do some really great shows coming up here pretty soon. So Arkheim, tell everybody where they can find you, and let's promote your book.
Okay,
and
I got
you got going
book on Amazon.
Okay, here, let me.
It explains my whole story. It explains how these programs work.
Oh, oops, sorry. Hold on. I was trying to do this one.
Explains how these
trying to get you bigger. Hold on. I'm going to move you over here. Okay, there we go.
How these programs, I was kind of using this one. This is my copy, so it's got a little. But yeah, it just explains my whole story from the ground up, and I'm proud of this book. It's not too long. It's also not too short. It's just right, and it just it's my story, but also gives you enough details to really understand the complexities and inner workings of these programs. I of course have my YouTube disclosure now with an explanation point. I love when people check that out. I've got a Patreon, Arkheim Ra, where I have some unique content over there, like me breaking down music videos and stuff like that, poetry, music, stuff like that I release it over there, and I don't release it anywhere else. And then I've been on TikTok lately. I don't know how long they're going to let me do that. They basically warned me today that they next time I get a strike, they might delete my whole page.
Oh, dang. You just have to open another one.
Yeah. Well, people seem very... Like, people on TikTok are ready for this information. Like, I can just... Yeah. There's a couple people in the comments who are skeptics, but most of them are like, tell me more. Yeah, asking questions. I thought it was
less censored over there. But maybe not.
What's that?
Dang. I said I thought it was less censored over there at TikTok, but maybe not.
I think that you just have to be careful about certain things you
Keywords.
say.
Yeah.
The thing that they took down was actually a post I made about the Queen of England and the thing that she made us, me and James.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what they took down. Which is,
you know what, they took something of mine down one time, and it was a man holding up a doll. It was a fake dog. It was like a doll of a werewolf pup or something, and it was fake. It was a doll, but he's holding it up, and they said that it was animal cruelty or something. I was like, it was a doll, dude. But anyways, thanks TikTok. Yeah. Oh man, it was that out. I guess it was like some program. They just thought it was a real dog, I guess.
Yeah. So. No, it seems like there's a good community over there, though. It does, and there are people saying some crazy things out in the open. So I just feel like their algorithm's weird. I don't know what trips what or what, but anyway, I'm over there. I've been posting a lot of information, a lot of new stuff. So
what are you on TikTok? Is it Disclosure Now?
It's Arkheim Ra and Psych Blooms.
Okay.
The name, because that's like the name of my music project, and I put music on there sometimes. My new music project.
Okay. Well, what I can do is I can put your links in the description box after the show tonight. Okay, for TikTok, I've got your YouTube channel in here, and I got a link to purchase your books on Amazon as well down in the description box. And my wonderful moderators have been putting your links in the chat all night long. So thank you so much to all the moderators for being so amazing. And I want to thank everybody for thank you so much, Area 51 and Donna as well for the super stickers tonight. That was very sweet of you guys. And I appreciate it so much. And Arkheim, so you're still active on your YouTube channel, right? You're still putting shows out?
Yeah, actually, get this, you guys. Great show tomorrow. Tune in. 5 p.m. your time, and I think that's 2 p.m. my time, right?
I'm 3 hours ahead of you.
So I'm doing an interview with Rock Cloud.
Oh, with Rock Cloud, very cool. That's awesome.
The Rods unite. We're gonna do an interview, and it's just
the two Raws.
Just gonna be a conversation, we just know that we need to talk, and the time is now, and so it's just I'm just calling the video a conversation between Arkheim and Cloud Ra, or whatever.
The two Raws.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
And it'll
I'll
be
be
a
there.
fascinating
That's
show.
awesome.
I know that we like know each other from like ancient history and stuff, and
Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of still jog our memories, and it'll probably be a really interesting show. So yeah, tune into that.
I love that. Okay, I'll be tuning in for sure. So thank you so much for being here.
I haven't put it on the channel yet because he didn't get back to me until today, but I'm gonna be putting it on and it'll be up by tomorrow. So
okay, well, we'll see you over there on your channel. Disclosure now with the exclamation point, y'all, with Arkheim Ra. Thank you so much for being here, Arkheim. You're the best. Please
take
give
care.
all my love.
A pleasure. I'm gonna go and have a good one.
Okay, all right, bye.
Bye.
Okay, see you. He always hops off soon, so I was ready this time, y'all. Okay. But thank you guys so much for being here again. This has been a really interesting show tonight, and I hope y'all enjoyed it as much as I do. Are you not entertained? I'm just saying, it's wonderful. And I love Arkheim so much, you guys. And we always have a good time. So please come back and see me on Saturday. I have Flat Rock Wood Boogers coming on Saturday night. This will be his first appearance on the Cryptid Huntress channel. And I've spent pretty good time, a couple of times out in the woods. Actually, we were out in Alabama together about 3 weeks ago. With a bunch of friends bigfooting. Okay. And we have met up at several conferences and festivals together, and Flat Rock is one of my favorite people, y'all. And I think you guys are going to love him on Saturday. He has Bigfoots on his property, and he's got a ton of evidence, a bunch of videos, pictures, audio, everything. We're going to show it all. It's actually kind of scary having them at your house like that. So y'all please come back on Saturday night. I will also be on Spaced Out Radio tomorrow night with Dave Scott. I am his guest tomorrow night on Spaced Out Radio, midnight Eastern. It's going to be a late night. So y'all come see me over on Spaced Out Radio tomorrow night with Dave Scott. We're going to be talking Dogman and Bigfoot. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for being here. I have the best audience on the internet. I stand by that 100%. Stay safe out there. Please keep your head on a swivel, y'all. Don't live in fear. And I'll see you back here Saturday. Bye, y'all.